Hey guys, tonight, we're not talking about pirates, no parrots, no maps drawn in crayon, on fake parchment, no one yelling, "Ah," unless it's you, quietly, when you stretch. Instead, we're setting sail into something heavier, the world of wooden warships, burning empires, and the quiet fury of people who refuse to disappear. The kind of stories that smell like smoke, salt, and oak tar. The kind that start with hammers ringing through fog and end with history echoing across the sea. We'll drift through three worlds tonight, three storms of ambition, courage, and chaos. The first, the building of a 3,500-ton fortress made of trees, the HMS Victory, a warship so massive it creaked like a living creature and carried the weight of an entire nation's pride across the water. Every nail, every plank, every shout from the dockyard echoed a single thought. Make her strong enough to outlast us all. Then, we'll step from timber to throne, to Alexander's queen, the woman who refused to be written as a footnote. She ruled, schemed, and survived in a world that never intended to remember her name. Her story isn't just about power, it's about endurance, and the kind of defiance that still hums quietly through history's marble halls. And finally, we'll travel north to the frozen edge of the old world, where pagan warriors howled beneath storm clouds and ancient gods demanded blood, fire, and song. It was a place where belief and brutality shared the same heartbeat, where the fury of the North was not just survival, it was a declaration. But before we sail off into hammering dockyards, royal intrigue, and icy battlefields, take a moment to get comfortable. Like the sailors before a long voyage, prepare your little ship, in this case, your bed. Dim the lights. Turn on a fan for that soft, cozy white noise, the modern world's version of distant waves against the hull. Get your blanket just right. Tuck your feet in, not because of rats this time, but because somewhere out there in the vast imagination of history, a Viking might be sharpening an axe. Probably not near you, probably. Now take a slow breath in, and another one out. Imagine the scent of salt and sawdust, the faint hiss of boiling tar, and the quiet conversation of men building something that will outlive them all. Have you ever wondered what it felt like to live through those days? To wake up knowing your work, your ship, your queen, your gods, all of it might decide the fate of everything you knew? To live in a world so harsh that survival wasn't a guarantee, and yet people still laughed, still built, still believed in something bigger than themselves. Tonight, we'll step into their world, not to glorify it, not to judge it, but to feel it softly, quietly, safely, from the calm of the present. Breathe in. Let the noise of your day drift away, like a ship fading into fog. The sea is calm, the fire is warm. The gods are watching, but kindly tonight. This is mildly interesting history for sleep, and these are the stories of wood, will, and the wildness of the human spirit. Settle in, close your eyes if you haven't already, and let the story begin. Chapter 1. The birth of a giant made of wood. And now, as your breath slows, and the hum of the modern world fades away, let's drift to a place where thunder wasn't made by gods, but by hammers, where forests became fortresses, and every plank of timber was carved into destiny. Picture this, Chatham Dockyard, England. The year is 1759, a grey morning stretching over the River Medway. The sky is hazy, heavy with salt and sawdust, and the air hums with the steady rhythm of labor. Hammer, pause, hammer again, a heartbeat of creation. Before you stands the skeleton of a ship, not just any ship, but a giant in the making, a 3,500-ton wooden warship that would one day be called HMS Victory. The pride of an empire, the home of sailors, cannons, and history's loudest echoes. But for now, she is nothing more than ribs of oak, arching upward from the mud like the bones of some ancient sea creature being coaxed back to life by men with calloused hands. The shipwrights move slowly but surely, their faces streaked with sweat and wood dust, their voices low under the whine of saws. They know their craft the way a poet knows rhythm. Each cut, each strike, each careful curve of timber is part of a language spoken between man and wood. The oak itself came from English forests, hundreds of trees, felled over years, their rings carrying decades of storms and sunlight. Now those trees are reborn, stacked, steamed, bent, and shaped into the hull of a ship that will someday roar through battle smoke. Each plank is heated, twisted, and nailed into place. Tar simmers in iron pots, thick and black as ink. Ropes coil like sleeping serpents. The air smells of resin, sweat, and the deep patience of men who understand that strength is built one nail at a time. A boy runs past with a hammer too large for his hands, an apprentice, wide-eyed, learning the rhythm of the dockyard. He stumbles, rights himself, and looks up at the immense frame, towering above him. To him, it must look like a cathedral, and in a way, it is. A cathedral of oak and ambition. A temple dedicated not to worship, but to survival. The master shipwright walks the line, a quiet man in a leather apron, his sharp eyes studying every beam. He knows the sea will test this ship, tear at her seams, slam her against the waves, and try to break her spirit. So every joint must hold, every nail must bite deep, every curve must whisper, "I will endure." Above the yard, seagulls circle lazily, their cries drowned by the rhythm of labor hammer, pause, hammer again. It is both music and prayer. Weeks turn to months, the skeleton fills out, the ribs become a body, and then one day, the massive hull stands complete, a dark shape against the dull sky, her sides tarred and gleaming, her name whispered with pride and exhaustion. The men step back, some smile, some simply wipe their brows. They have built something that will outlive them all, a fortress of oak that will sail into legend, facing storms, cannon fire, and history's relentless tide. For now, she rests quietly in the dock, wood creaking softly as if she's already dreaming of open water. The wind shifts, tar smoke rises, and for just a moment, the whole dockyard feels like it's holding its breath, watching, waiting, as the HMS Victory, still silent, still unfinished, begins to imagine herself alive. Chapter 2: The Serpent's Secret Soiree. Hey guys, tonight, we slither into something way more tantalizing than your neighbor's secret barbecue recipe. Imagine a dark cave crammed with echoes, and the faint scent of honey, milk, and a touch of existential dread. That's right, we're delving into a serpent-themed shrine from 327 BCE, where the locals were causing a ruckus over who'd get to chat with the spirits. Ever wondered if your pet snake was secretly the neighborhood gossip? Well, you might just find out tonight. Now, before we dive into our delightful tale, I urge you to dim those lights, turn on that fan to create a nice ghostly breeze, and settle into your most comfy chair, preferably the one that you've designated for all things cozy, like binge-watching bad reality TV shows. And let's be real, as you're getting comfortable, think about it. If you had to make offerings to a snake deity, would you stick with the tried and true honey and eggs? Or would you consider tossing in a few leftover pizza slices? Just imagine a snake looking at a crusty slice and thinking, is this what the afterlife has come to? As you ponder this culinary mystery, let's picture that dimly lit cave in the age of Alexander the Great, when grave markers were often just unfortunate pile-ups of stones, and the concept of interior design was just hoping for a rock that didn't resemble a lumpy potato. Congratulations! You've just woken up in 327 BCE, nestled comfortably in a genuine snake shrine, where the only thing darker than the cave is, well, the caffeine-free herbal tea served by your spirit guide. Now, take in your surroundings. The air is cool and moist, wrapping around you like a shoddy wool blanket you've trusted since college, nostalgic, slightly musty, and possibly harboring small creatures. Lurking in the shadows, the serpent figurine lies coiled, glistening with offerings that would make a grocery store blush, the honey, gleaming like melted gold, the milk, utterly fresh, and eggs, definitely picked out on a Monday. That's the only time a peasant had a chance to do anything resembling a grocery run. Here, they all converge in this curious meeting of the living and the spirit world, as if they've gotten lost on the way to a potluck. Imagine the townsfolk sneaking into the cave, eyes darting around like a bunch of overly caffeinated meerkats on high alert. Did you hear about Jellas, the one who dared to wear a sock that clashed with his sandals? They say the spirits were less than pleased. They might whisper, each one convinced that tweaking the ancient offerings just a smidge will grant them favor in the afterlife. After all, who wouldn't want a snake deity rooting for them in this twisting game of survival? Are you telling me that no one gets murky milk if I just throw in a sweet cake. Then bring on the offerings. As you sit quietly, you can hear the murmurs of their debates. More honey or fewer regrets? Should we leave something extra just to impress the snake spirit? The whole thing feels like a bizarre episode of Chopped, where instead of a panel of culinary elites critiquing your tender, grilled tofu, you have the fate of your afterlife hanging in the balance over breakfast condiments. And then it hits you. Their existence zips along an absurd thread of mythology. Can you imagine them placed beside their contemporaries? Why, yes, my dear, even in death. I once dined with a serpent who claimed to have witnessed the great debate over life choices between Alexander and his wife, Roxana. And there's the catch. Only those who served the best offerings, be it culinary miracles or sheer absurdity, could stay in the good graces of this mystical critter. No pressure, right? Let's take stock of all this visual splendor for a moment. By the flickering light of your favorite hairy candle from the local torches, you watch as the figurine all serene and impressive channels all the calm energy of a guru who just discovered meditation on a mountaintop. It's like the world's oldest motivational speaker, though you can't help but feel it probably has zero interest in your weekend plans or romantic misadventures. The last thing you need on your resume is failed to connect with a deity because I couldn't pronounce serpent correctly. Now, as our serpent worshippers negotiate the fine line between reverence and trying to bribe a sheet of stone with eggs. Oh yes, that's how serious this gets. Understand that beneath all this is a lesson about community, care, and perhaps realizing that there's no wrong way to engage with the mysterious forces of the universe. It may require some honey, some slippily exciting offerings, and the odd potato, but in essence, they're there to connect, to ask for help, and sometimes, to share a good joke about life's unpredictability. To wrap this up before your eyelids grow heavier than a sack full of potatoes acquired through questionable means. Remember that, in the shambles of the ancient world, laughter and connection seeped through even the darkest caves. Just imagine sneaking in your own snacks to impress a deity that can't decide between honey and pizza with a side of existential crisis. Because, if there's one thing you can count on, in the Cave of Serpents, it's that the rules are more flexible than your cousin's New Year's resolution to exercise. As you drift deeper into your thoughts, let that imagery snake around you, wrapping you in serenity while teasing you with smiles like the flicker of a flame, funny and warm. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and become one with this bizarre, historical spectacle, lulling you gently into dreamland, where every offering is rich with humor, and every snake may just be your spirit animal, perhaps minus the scales. Chapter 3. The Colossal Wooden Sky Fortress. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Secrets of History You Didn't Know You Needed, or as I like to call it, the History Channel for people who prefer their facts with a generous side of absurdity. Tonight, we're going to explore something larger than your Aunt Gertrude's Christmas fruitcake, the HMS Victory, a magnificent wooden warship from the 18th century. Yes, this is the same type of ship that inspired all those naval fantasies you had as a kid while playing with action figures on the kitchen table. Of course, because your mum would never let you near the good furniture. But first, remember to like, subscribe, and comment, but only if you actually enjoy this. No pressure. So, dim the lights, crank the floor fan so it feels like you're sailing the high seas, or at least as close as your apartment allows, and get comfortable, because you're about to embark on a gentle journey through history that may or may not send you into a serene slumber. Now, let me paint a picture. Have you ever wondered if naval captains had a favorite sea shanty to croon while steering their majestic wooden behemoths? What did pirate reenactors think before they ran out of 15th century themed beverages? And did sailors ever attempt to replicate bubble baths on a wooden ship? Spoiler alert, no rubber duckies in sight. Congratulations. You've just woken up in 1797 aboard the HMS Victory, the colossal wooden skyscraper of the ocean. Standing at a staggering 214 feet, this ship was less of a vessel and more of a floating palace. If that palace were made entirely out of wood and had to withstand the occasional cannonball to the kitchen. As you step on board, the first thing you notice is, you guessed it, the smell. Ah, yes. the delightful aroma of salt water mixed with the occasional whiff of unshowered sailors. Imagine a blend of sweaty socks and aged timber, a scent only the bravest or most oblivious could tolerate. The deck creaks under your weight, and you think to yourself, this ship is plotting another one of its famous wooden symphonies. What a privilege! The HMS Victory is equipped with sails that billow more majestically than a peacock strutting its feathers at a garden party. They catch the wind like it's a free buffet, swelling and snapping in rhythmic fashion. If sails could talk, they'd probably be demanding a raise and kvetching about how sailors just never appreciate the hard work they put in. Up ahead, you see the cannons. Oh, yes, the cannons, all 104 of them. They look like gigantic wooden mouths ready to burp out cannonballs at any given moment. Impressively organized, each cannon is lovingly named after influential figures of the day, like Lord Bungalow and Captain Snorlax. Just imagine the sailors gathered around in the evenings, eyes sparkling mischievously. Hey, what shall we call this one? I vote we go with Cannonball MacGuffin. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate the crew. You'd think with a ship like this, they'd have an onboard spa and cocktail bar, right? But no. Instead, they face the glorious task of maintaining the rigging and keeping everything shipshape literally. This meant climbing high into the rigging, where the winds howled angrily at you like your neighbor's dog during a midnight emergency. The view? Incredible. The risk of falling? Impressive. Casual chats amongst mates could only be had while juggling buckets, ropes, and the occasional wayward seagull. Oh no, Jerry. Watch out for. Oh wait, too late. As a feathered pirate dashes across your path, snatching a slice of hardtack like it's the last meal on Earth. And oh, the treasures they carried. The ship was laden with goods from all corners of the globe. Spices that smelled so exotic they made your head spin, silks that draped like waterfalls, and of course, barrels of rum that the sailors fancied more than their daily meals. Seriously, the priority here was clear. If it didn't involve rum, it was probably a chore. Sailing the high seas on the HMS Victory was also quite an adventure for your taste buds if you enjoyed tough meat and even tougher biscuits. Think of chewing on a boot. Yet, that's what excitement looked like in the days when the phrase, meal in a bowl, would have entirely different implications. You'd often hear sailors say things like, what's for dinner? A little bit of mystery meat with a side of existential dread. And finally, let's not forget the splendid, momentous battles this warship participated in. The Battle of Trafalgar. Picture it like the Super Bowl of the seas, only instead of nachos, there were cannonballs and cries of, look out for that one, as enemy ships floundered in their wake, while Victory stood gallantly. So there you have it. You're aboard the HMS Victory, a colossal wooden warship, watching history unfold. Who could have imagined that life would have you standing on a wooden deck, eating biscuits harder than your career ambitions while dodging giant birds and accepting life's absurdity? It's the pirate life for you, my friend, without the eye patch or special pirate lingo. Just a sun-soaked wooden monstrosity rocking boldly along the waves. What a time to be alive. Or at least moderately comfortable. Chapter 4, The Gun Deck of Despair. Hey guys, welcome back, where tonight we're diving deeper than a Roman senator at a toga party. Prepare yourself for tales so absurd, you might find yourself questioning your life choices, like that time you tried to learn the ukulele, and ended up with a permanent limp from the world's smallest instrument. Tonight, we're clambering into a low, cramped gun deck interior on a wooden warship. Picture it. Light filtering through the cannon ports. A feeble attempt at illumination that could only be compared to your last dinner date when the only candle flickering was your significant other's patience. So grab that sense of humor. Maybe sprinkle in some irony, like it's your favorite spice, and settle in. But remember, like, subscribe, and please, comment only if you genuinely enjoy our hilariously meandering trip through history. No pressure, really. So, imagine yourself as a sailor in 327 BCE. You ever wondered what it felt like to be a sailor back in the day? Did they have running water? Spoiler alert, they did not. Were they just constantly covered in salt and despair? Absolutely. How did they spend their off hours? Was it just endless games of guess which sea creature it is? Or perhaps they were just trying to avoid stepping in the occasional puddle of spilled grog? Ah yes, The nautical life was full of surprises, none of them pleasant. Congratulations. You've just woken up on a wooden warship, feeling like a sardine packed into a tin can, but that tin can is now bobbing on the ocean waves. And good luck finding any personal space. Welcome aboard a place where silence goes to die, and the air smells like a briny history of regret. Now, let's paint this picture vividly. You're in a gun deck so cramped, you practically have to tiptoe through the crowds. The smell? Oh, it's unique, alright, like a weirdly nostalgic blend of stale fish, old rope, and that unmistakable odor of disgruntled sailors who forgot to bathe. This isn't some serene spa retreat. It's more like a poorly planned group outing to an unlicensed sauna. As you peer through the small cannon ports, you see a sliver of the ocean, probably the same sliver of water that last week hosted your ship's discarded leftovers. Charming, right? Take a moment to glance around. You see sailors hunched over the massive cannons, engaged in a ritual that looks like an odd combination of cleaning and praying, a holy lather sort of situation. These cannons are like the introverts of the naval world, just sitting there, waiting for someone to pull the trigger on excitement, which translates to an ominous bang and a reminder of why it might not be a good idea to upset the universe today. Imagine that glorious moment when the old brassy cannon finally gets scrubbed enough to reflect the light, like when you clean your glasses and suddenly see your world in sharp HD. Alas, without the glasses, you're still faced with visions of dread as their meandering conversations reveal their hopes and dreams. I just want to clean cannons in peace, maybe teach a cat to navigate the ship. And is it too late to learn to juggle cannonballs? Every clang of metal provides a soundtrack to their complaints, lifting from a mere whimper to an all-out battle cry of camaraderie forged in the fires of gritty labor. On break, they pass the time by swapping tales of home that are as distant as the stars, a saltwater therapy session with none of the benefits of an actual therapist, of course. Who needs mental health care when you've got the sweet embrace of naval bureaucracy? Just breathe in the salt, it's basically sage for the sea, they quip, half serious, while attempting to avoid stepping on a particularly troublesome piece of old hardtack. You could marvel at the sight of a ship bustling with life, yet it would be more accurate to say it's a cacophony of human elbows, mixed with laughter. That sounds suspiciously like a don't perish plan. It's easy to forget there are probably no pigs on board, creating an imaginary unicorn of a task that simply doesn't equate to reality. Oh, sweet land, when was the last time you visited us? The answer is, too long. And, amid the chaos, there's the slightly saddening realization that every ounce of work here is as heroic as the last cookie you hid from your friends but felt too guilty to eat. Yes, the cannons may soon roar to life, but for now, they lull you into an oddly comforting routine of ship woodenness, slightly stale bread, and of course, the omnipresent scent of disaster, ready to take shape once that cannon fires. So yes, being a sailor aboard this ship is a soul-searching journey if your soul is searching for deep breaths, unfortunate climbs up the rigging, and a chance to laugh at the absurdities of life. Maybe you even share a moment of unity with your comrades over the shared experience of shoving a damp cloth inside a cannon, truly believing it's the height of nautical brilliance. After all, is there anything more satisfying than realizing you're precisely as lost as everyone else? That, my friend, is the life of a sailor, where camaraderie flourishes between cannon salvos, and the sweet sting of salty air brings you unmistakably closer to a good night's sleep, lessons in comedic despair that will carry you gently away on the waves of history. Chapter 5. The Tavern Tug-O-War. Hey guys, welcome back to our expedition through history, where tonight we're entering a world as chaotic as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Get ready for tales that will make your daily grind look like a soothing cup of herbal tea. Tonight's adventure involves ships, soldiers, and some seriously questionable judgment, like that one time you tried to convince yourself that you could eat an entire pizza by yourself without any repercussions. Now, dim those lights, lend a gentle breeze to your surroundings like a fluffy cloud, and ease into your coziest position. Picture this. You find yourself in an 18th century tavern buzzing with drunken sailors and dubious recruiters. Your mind wanders, what were these seafaring folk really hoping for? Were there nice towels and fresh fruit waiting for them on the open seas? Did they think they were signing up for a luxury cruise, complete with tropical cocktails, instead of a life wrestling with every conceivable type of scurvy. You can almost hear it now. The rattle of mugs slapping against the wood, the boisterous laughter of men gathered around tables, who were probably just a few facial hairs shy of discussing their existential crises. And, oh yes, there's a press gang raiding this unruly sanctuary, armed with rum, clubs, and an insatiable thirst for human resources. Congratulations! You've just woken up in 18th century England, specifically in a port tavern full of merry chaos, and possibly rumors of sea monsters, but mostly just men grappling with dreadlocks and dubious decisions. Now, let's take a moment to absorb this glorious mess. The tavern is packed tighter than a pair of wet socks in a shoebox. The air hangs thick with the mingling scents of stale ale and old ambition, that unique perfume you might recognize from an unfortunate encounter with your uncle after a family barbecue. As you glance around, one particular ghastly sight captures your attention. Sailors in various stages of attempt at competence, not one likely to win an Olympic sport. All escalating while press gangers look like ravenous wolves sniffing for hesitant sheep. Less than 30 seconds in, you find yourself entranced by a man whose hair is doing its best impression of a hedgehog at a punk rock concert. He's enthusiastically boasting about his first sailing jab in the Navy, and ends up demonstrating with far more gusto than intellect. Spoiler: there's no method without madness. He knocks over the entire drink from his mate's table, who, let's be clear, is probably measuring the distance from the floor to his chair, rather unfairly, before launching into a volley of criticism. Ah, the press gang, the ancient equivalent of HR, telling you that your favorite office chair really does belong to your manager. As you look closer at the unlucky souls around the tavern, it appears the sailors were actually closer to auditionees for a tragic play about bad decisions than seasoned warriors. Men entangled in endless debates over who had the finest battle scars, oblivious to the looming danger as they sip deceptively strong grog that probably contains hints of mischief, woven between questionable ingredients and the occasional barnacle. "Yo ho ho," shouts one of the press gangers, punctuating it with a raucous laugh. It's less Pirates of the Caribbean and more pirates in a comedy club, as he swings an arm to point at the now worried-faced folks in the opposite corner who stand a tad too uncomfortably. Perhaps because one particularly unruly sailor has mistaken the rest of the tavern for a dock in Calcutta. Suddenly, a struggling fellow in a frayed jerkin wiggles free of the gang's grip. "I'd rather shovel goat dung for a week than step aboard that rickety heap of wood," he exclaims, clearly unaware he's just won the undivided attention of very thirsty pirates. It's a bold statement. Fun fact: no one actually wants to shovel dung unless they're under duress or on a particularly ill-fated reality show. But before the fellow's proclamation can even sink in, another press ganger whips around like a mechanical bull. "Do you know what's worse than goat dung? Being stuck in a cabin with it. Sign up, or I'll make you learn to juggle cannonballs." Cue the horrified-looking onlookers, casting side glances as if their decisions rest on a spinning wheel of fate. By now, the crowd is swirling, sailors are yelling at press gangers, and somewhere amidst the madness, bets are placed on whether that hedgehog-wigged sailor can land the tavern's leftover beef on his head, without sending it flying in an artfully tragic way. Have you ever seen a meat projectile sail through the air? It's honestly the stuff of low-budget documentaries. And then, the man is yanked back by the gang, who clearly take offense at his culinary and naval insights. They drag him out, along with several other bewildered souls, shouting incomprehensible sea shanties, and probably exclamations about the best way to scrub barnacles off of a ship. Hint: it might or might not involve using squirrel fur. Can't get much more life goals than that, can you? In this grand, melodramatic tapestry of ancient tavern antics, you realize this chaotic hubbub is a frontier of sorts, a proving ground for the peculiar transition from land to sea. Somewhere in the dust and laughter, camaraderie blossoms, an absurd yet comforting reminder that the bravest of souls can always find themselves in the strangest of situations. As the doors close, and the tavern abandons shifts into a celebration of resigned misfortune, you can't help but chuckle. Because really, how many people can say they fought a press gang in a drunken tavern and lived to tell the tale? It's all in a day's work, or perhaps, all in a day's drink, because after all, when the ocean's calling and the tavern's brimming, who wouldn't want to lend a little salty rebellion to history's never-ending story? Chapter 6. The Sailors on High Masts. Hey guys, Welcome back to our charming exploration of the peculiarities that shaped existence, where space-time seems to collapse like a house of cards the moment you try to set your alarm clock. Tonight, we're soaring higher than your uncle's political ambitions, embarking on a journey to the grand age of wooden warships and intrepid rulers. Fasten your imaginary seatbelts. We're headed for another mildly interesting voyage through history. Now, I know what you're thinking. Did those maelstroms of manly sailors somehow believe the sea was their personal spa? Were they hoping for floating summer homes adorned with joyful seagulls serenading their tenacious efforts? Did they ever stop to contemplate their life choices while staring into the receding horizon? All reasonable queries, as vital as asking if anyone ever actually liked disagreements over pickles at a summer BBQ. But before we dive into high tides and quaint nautical mishaps, dim those lights of your modern abode. Snuggle into your plushest blanket and prepare your mind for a yawn-inducing dose of gentle absurdity. Cheers, my friends. Congratulations. You've just awoken on a wooden warship in 327 BCE, perched between the laughs and yelps of 1,000 sailors battling against winds that could likely transform an entire city into a giant whirling dervish. Picture this. The mast stretches to the heavens 180 feet of wood, with sailors awkwardly scaled like ants on a suspended vertical roller coaster. Now imagine those fellow ants trying to navigate a dizzying labyrinth of dark rope rigging, each line appearing more complicated than your Aunt Gertrude's knitting pattern. As salty briny wind bites at your cheeks, you can almost hear the high-pitched shouts of sailors declaring poetic undying love to the fried herring they just dropped overboard. The nagging question looms. Why do they insist on holding tight to the ropes like a lifeline, when we all know what happens to sailors who lean too far in the wrong direction? Spoiler alert, they become really expensive fish food. Your sense of smell is assaulted by a bouquet of delightful marine aromas, freshly caught fish, salt, and that unmistakable hint of regrettably poor hygiene. Remember the last time you thought about giving Mr. Jenkins a proper talking to about his suspiciously fragrant laundry? Yeah, gets real complicated when you realize you're now presumably sailing on the world's biggest clothes dryer, all heated naturally by the sun and the pungent aromas of your shipmates. Sail ho! At this moment, the ship shudders as brawny sailors holler, separating from gripping ropes to engage in a delightful game of how will gravity betray us today. Will it be the unlucky lad tangled in a rope, or perhaps the unfortunate soul who misjudged the sudden lurch of the vessel? As they prance in a sad ballet of miscalculated movements, it's like watching a group of toddlers attempt to dance, except with significantly less charm and far more ocean-related existential dread. Now imagine the cacophony of sea shanties mingling with distant clinks of metal against metal as they attempt to hoist multiple sails at once. The trouble begins when one overly ambitious sailor convinces another to raise a sail that belongs much higher on the mast than he was originally trained for. And with a leap of faith that rivals your last attempt at jumping over a puddle, both climbers awkwardly tussle on the ropes, resulting in something that looks less like a splendid maneuver and more like a puppy tangled in a bunch of yarn. Speaking of yarn, let's consider the rigging. Those ropes twist and turn, looking remarkably like your average Christmas lights after a long season of merriment, or perhaps how you feel after a challenging session of yoga. You know the one, the place in the back of your brain that whispers, maybe you should just beg for mercy instead of doing that final downward dog. High up in the rigging, the sun shines like a persistent spotlight on a calamity unfolding live. As sailors scale the masts, they suddenly become masterful acrobats, walking the line between poetry and pandemonium while their shipmates below bellow nonsensical encouragements that range between, "You've got this, mate," to, "If you tip over, make it dramatic." Now, for the darker side of this version of a nautical reality show, high winds. The squalls whip through the sails with the enthusiasm of a toddler who just discovered sugar. Imagine the constant groans and yelps of sailors who suddenly find themselves swaying precariously, clinging to rigging that's about as stable as a weeble wobble on rollerblades. Hold on to your hats, friends, one gust of wind and it becomes a contest of who can regret their life choices the fastest. Mischief abounds as the captain, probably looking no less than ceremoniously dignified, tries to keep order amidst the chaos. His face is a study in concentration, equal parts control, and that special blend of disbelief that comes when one realizes half their crew has yet to grasp the vital lesson that backward is not an acceptable direction for a ship. Now imagine the view. White sails billowing majestically against the endless blue, while the tumult below unfolds like a comedic opera. We've got one sailor tumbling in flamboyant rebellion, another swinging wildly like he's performing the latest TikTok dance move, all while the ship itself embodies a floating mystery wrapped in brine and brave, none of whom signed up for trapeze school. As you drift deeper into this tumultuous affair, you begin to truly appreciate what it means to live with one foot in the celestial and one in the waves below, waiting for the next moment to redefine seafaring life. And even as the sun dips into solitude on the horizon, your adventures aboard this rousing wooden ship continue, full of laughter, salty winds, and the most poetic and painfully relatable failures mankind ever concocted. Because, after all, who could resist the absurdity of sailors suspended high amidst the clouds, caught between the thrill of glory and the comedy of their own misbegotten antics? You can't make this up, can you? Chapter 7. Blood and Lantern Light. You've just unwittingly signed up for a shift in a rather crowded operating theater aboard the Olop, a wooden warship bobbing about the Mediterranean in 327 BCE. If you think your last dentist's appointment was a bit grim, wait until you see what the onboard surgeon has cooked up tonight. This isn't just a casual checkup on your sore tooth. This is a gruesome spectacle filled with pads of cotton, wooden spatulas, and surgical techniques that might make even the toughest survivor reality shows look like pleasant day camps. Picture this. You're surrounded by the salty air and the eerie glow of flickering lanterns, each casting shadows that dance like enthusiastic companions on an unholy quest. The deck beneath you, clamorous, slick, and decorated with splashes of crimson, resembles a modern art installation gone terribly wrong. Who needs a gallery when you can have a moving canvas of chaos at sea? As the surgeon, looking like a half-drenched raccoon, ambles about with a kit that boasts a terrifying collection of rusty tools, you can't help but ponder. Did this guy get his training from the local blacksmith rather than at any kind of medical academy? After all, if your primary qualification is not passing out at the sight of blood, you might just qualify as a doctor of the ages, right? Hold still, you moron, echoes a voice, sharp as a seagull's cry. This isn't your ordinary tavern scuffle. Limbs are flailing about like a ship lost in a squall, a blend of panic and absurdity hitting you like a rogue wave. Up close, you realize the patient is just trying to process the fact that his leg has been declared a total loss. Not exactly an upbeat chat, is it? You realize the doctor's approach is akin to how one might mend a broken chair. They just chop off the wobbly bit. Listen, mate, it's just a leg. You've still got one left. Surely, that's what comfort looks like in the world of ancient surgery. It's like Bob the Builder went horribly wrong. You just need to slap on more duct tape and call it a day. But only if duct tape is replaced by sawdust and very poor charm. The smell wafts through the air, like a worryingly intense chili con carne. It's a blend of sweat, brine, and, oh yes, a touch of despair that can only come from looking at an active amputation. As the surgeon strains to manipulate what remains of the patient, you can't help but wonder whether it's possible to find free Wi-Fi aboard this floating death trap. Perhaps someone could stream a tutorial on how to properly avoid losing limbs and sanity. Just a little more pressure. The surgeon calls out, and you can almost hear someone off to the side mumble something about pressure in sailing and the odds of drowning. They might be onto something. Afraid to become the next patient, you consider the grim reality of your current situations. Was it always safe to assume the risk of limb loss when setting sail versus, say, having a modest picnic in your garden? Just another shocking aspect of life aboard a floating wooden box of peril. Brothers and fellow shipmates, bear witness to this surgical spectacle while they pound rum like it's a religion. If you've ever been at a party where someone volunteered to juggle flaming torches, this is absolutely nothing like that. The atmosphere is charged more with dread than with cheer, as sailors make awkward eye contact with the deck, well aware that humor might be the only escape from this surreal scenario. Looks like they're really having a forum on how to not lose your leg to a poorly trained surgeon, someone chuckles weakly. You can almost hear the groans as a murmur spreads through the crowd, like ripples across a pond. Except this pond might just be filled with blood and misplaced optimism. Now, as chaos reigns, a question creeps into your mind. tickling your sensibilities. Is there some sort of a Navy handbook dedicated to tips for safe amputations at sea? Because if they ever need someone to write a review, you might just be qualified after this merry expedition. Between the lantern light flickering overhead and the urgent groans of the unfortunate, it seems like you're observing a prime example of how worse could always entail just a fortuitous series of misjudgments. But don't worry, dear listener, as you sit upon the very edges of history, witnessing this nearly comical level of carnage, you can remind yourself, at least this isn't a Monday morning meeting at the office. Those have a unique torture of their own, like dissecting a presentation that's more horrifying than the sight you currently behold. As all this unfolds around you, the ship jostles on turbulent sea waves, almost like a half-hearted attempt to distract you from the pandemonium unfolding underfoot. Sailors shout, laughter sometimes erupts, but it's the kind of laughter that feels like a scream caught in mid-ocean. You begin to think there must exist an unspoken rule that when civilization decides, let's sail a wooden warship, we inadvertently signed up for a show that features everything except hospitals, cleanliness, or even a shred of privacy. So the Olop continues to rock and sway, becoming both a stage and a victim to the absurdities of a surgical escapade, as each lantern flickers in time with someone's prayer, or perhaps a hopeful wish for some basic medical standards. But then again, who wants to make things easy? After all, if we had impeccable medicine, it might lead to fewer improvisations and less humor to make our souls chuckle gently at the challenges of yesteryear. So just settle in, cozied amongst the sea of chaos and questionable choosings of surgical tactics, knowing there's humor here, even amidst sheer disbelief. And honestly, if anyone were to take away the harsh realities of battling both the sea and unfortunate medical emergencies, it's just another chapter in the endless tome of the beautifully absurd that is history. Chapter 8. Cannons and Coughs. Welcome to the year 1805. Time to forget about your comfy couch and lattes, because you've just woken up aboard a wooden warship, hanging precariously in the heart of the Battle of Trafalgar. Congratulations! Forget about morning coffee. Today's special is the aroma of black powder smoke, cannonballs whizzing by, and a slight chance of paralysis from sheer fright. As you struggle to gather your bearings, you might notice that the air is thick, not with the gentle scent of pastries or your neighbor's potato salad, but rather with the lingering stench of burnt gunpowder and unwashed sailors. Yes, that's right, your olfactory senses have just been assaulted like a poor seagull caught in an unexpected storm. Potpourri of invading forces, you muse, but your nose is firmly convinced it would very much prefer a quiet bouquet of field flowers over the chaos that now envelops you. In the midst of this maritime marvel, the crew around you is more frantic than a chicken with a beehive on its head. Picture this. Half of them loading and firing cannons while the other half frantically jumping around to avoid rogue cannonballs snapping dangerously close. Kind of like a who's back at work pinball machine, with the sailors as the clumsily bouncing balls. It's enough to make a modern office worker clutch their sides and giggle nervously. After all, you think, if you ever complain about Monday morning meetings again, just remember, these poor souls might argue that office politics shouldn't involve actual cannon fire. Fire at will, bellows the captain, who somehow manages to look dignified despite his mop of disheveled hair and the fact that he just yelled something that sounds suspiciously like a marching band's tournament motto. If only he knew how many sailing mishaps we've seen go wrong whenever someone shouted, "Fire!" Except it's not a campfire sing-along. The cannon's big, hulking pieces of attitude rumble and roar like hungry tigers after a long fast. There you stand, witnessing cannon crews with muscles tensed more than a saxophone player in a jazz club. They load the heavy cannonballs as if they were tossing bags of flour for your next big bake-off. Ever tried doing that while standing on a ship that's barreling through tumultuous waves? Yeah, this is not the masterclass in baking you were hoping for. It feels more like a misdirected reality show where only luck and a little muscle will keep you from slipping off the deck. And then, boom, the thunderous sound reverberates through the ship, so loud it momentarily drowns out your thoughts as cannonballs shoot forth like caffeinated rabbits darting from a particularly enthusiastic zoo. You wonder briefly about quality control. Did they check these cannonballs? Or did they merely toss them together and hope for the best? Well, it's not like we can return them if they explode, you chuckle nervously, recalling the customer service nightmare that is modern e-commerce. But what about the crew, you ponder? How does one prepare for a day at sea when the weather not only threatens rain but also, imminent death? Do they hold morning meetings where they argue over whose turn it is to lose an arm? Or do they just accept their fates, a little like lottery numbers tumbling out of an oversized machine? No sooner have you entertained these musings than a splinter from above flies down like a misguided haiku, narrowly missing the nearest sailor. With a yelp, because let's face it, everyone yelps when something sharp is barreling toward them, he dives to the side, landing with an impressive thud that you're sure will be debated at the next tavern gathering. A far more fascinating experience than any old puff pastry can offer. And speaking of pastries, the smell of cooking rations fills the air, as several sailors attempt to blend the culinary practices of their mothers with whatever leftovers happen to be floating around. Don't worry about a thing, one of them quips, stirring a pot suspiciously labeled mystery stew. It's just the gelatinous remains of whatever it was that washed ashore yesterday. Nothing says comfort food like bivalve mystery served with a side of never ask what it is. The shouts of orders and the crashes of cannon fire blend into an absurd symphony that could probably win a talent show for chaos. Sailors slap their hands against their faces in sheer disbelief, resembling a group of comedians trying out their worst stand-up routines. What do you mean there's no Wi-Fi? You imagine one blubbering while clutching a soggy biscuit. I simply refuse to digest anything until I can scroll through the maritime news. Just as you're deep in this giggle-inducing nightmare, the spit of cannon fire erupts again, thriving in a discordant dance as you and the rest of the ship tumble around like bobbleheads, caught in a blender. You can't help but think, is this how those Victorian maritime tales got their start? Did someone just look up one day, witness sheer absurdity, and think, perfect, I am writing this down? And so it goes, the waves crashing, cannons firing, and chaos reigning. Somehow, from all this madness, humorous tales will emerge, providing laughter to those future scholars pondering what life was like aboard a wooden warship during a clash of titans. History may juggle its serious moments, but remember, sometimes entertaining madness holds a higher place in the grand narrative of our delightful little human journey. Now, as you settle into this absurdity of cannon fire, salty air, and the delightful madness that was the Battle of Trafalgar, maybe it's time to ponder life's great mysteries. Like, how does one secure good Wi-Fi out here in the middle of a battle? Or perhaps, why it's worth risking life and limb for mystery stew. When faced with existential questions like these, it's a wonder we ever get any sleep at all. Chapter 9. Climbing Sogdian Rock. Hey guys, welcome to tonight's excursion through a time when facial hair was optional, pants were preferred but rarely used, and wooden warships were fully capable of belching cannon smoke like an angry dragon. Buckle up, because we're diving into the wild and rollicking days of 327 BCE, when life was as unpredictable as a cat in a room full of laser pointers. Now, remember to like, subscribe, and drop a comment only if you actually enjoy this, of course. We'll be unlocking the door to the past, but it's a bit creaky and might just lead you to Sogdian Rock, where you'll wonder how exactly people manage to get in and out without a GPS or a solid Yelp review. So, dim the lights, put on a fan to create that oscillating breeze reminiscent of a chariot race, and get cozy. Let's just say, if you've ever woken up groggy and confused from a nap, try doing that on a cliff while being chased by ancient warriors. Picture this, you've just woken up in the year 327 BCE, at the base of the seemingly impregnable fortress of Sogdian Rock. The sun has barely crested the horizon, and a handful of Macedonian climbers, think of them as the ancient equivalent of adrenaline-infused mountain goats, are gearing up to scale the cliff face before you. And you might be wondering, how does one go about gearing up for an adventure like this? Do they have motivational posters of Alexander the Great? Reach for the sky? Or, the high ground? As dawn breaks, it's not just the light that begins to wake up the world. The air is filled with the sounds of clanking armor and the impatient grunts of men who, let's be real, probably skip breakfast in favor of a battle tile. Imagine yourself inhaling the crisp morning air mixed with the distant aroma of burnt offerings. Oh wait, that's your imagination slightly off-center again. Maybe it's really the scent of hope, or just someone's weirdly elaborate oatmeal recipe from last night. And just to clarify, climbing Sogdian Rock isn't your average Sunday stroll. It's less a leisurely hike through a park, and more like trying to gracefully exit a trampoline, while also avoiding a colliding cascade of trouble. Picture the climbers, balanced precariously, scaling the sheer rock face. You can almost hear their thoughts. Is it too late to get a day job, preferably one without high altitudes? But alas, there are no safety harnesses, no helmets, and definitely no liability waivers. If they fall, it'll be a case of Google says I should have packed an airbag, who knew? The sheer vertical drop offers a breathtaking view, if you're into that kind of thing. Otherwise, the view is probably just making you dizzy, and you wonder if you need to start sending goodbye messages in your head. To whoever finds my body at the bottom, I promise it was worth it. I just wanted a pretty view. As you and the daring climbers heave yourselves upward, the flag of Macedon, perhaps the least effective parachute ever, is flapping triumphantly atop the rock, like a peacock yelling, "Look at me, I'm fabulous." The climb is precarious, and there's quite the dichotomy of seasoned warriors and those who seem to have just tripped over a sandal and gotten thrust into this scene. One of the climbers shouts, "Just think of it as extreme exercise." And you can't help but think, I can barely walk to the fridge without a snack break. This is simply extreme insanity. Every moment spent clinging to the rock is heightened by the sounds of nature, chirping birds, the rustling of leaves, and the regrettable whimpering of climbers who are beginning to rethink their life decisions. Did I really have to skip leg day today? One shrieks to no one in particular, perhaps in an oddly comedic bid for the attention of the sun itself. It's not that serious of a climb if you don't count gravity as a legitimate adversary. But in true ancient Greek fashion, when faced with adversity, the bravest of warriors produce a mantra. At least we're not dealing with Wi-Fi outages. Maybe. Let's face it, living without those lovely little screens can be a surprisingly refreshing experience. After all, how would one update their social media status while dangling precariously from a height that's, well, asterisk, a bit much times for most of us? As you reach the summit and breathe in the victorious air, like champagne for someone who just found out their in-laws picked a kinder place for family gatherings, you're greeted by a spectacular view, one that consequentially comes with dizzy spells and momentary feelings of euphoria. "Look, we did it!" you shout, even if not one Agamemnon or Achilles cares about your ordeal, crowning you the most vocal champion of your own madness. There, on top of Sogdian Rock, the banner of Macedon flutters triumphantly, and just like that, Alexander himself might pop up and say something ridiculously motivational, like "Let's conquer more." Who's feeling like another rock climb? Leave it to history to transform practical insanity into colorful tales that would surely make your social media feed interesting. As the sun climbs higher, illuminating the absurdity and danger of your daring escapade, you realize, much like with modern-day life, we're still all just trying to climb our own Sogdian rocks, struggling, laughing, and hoping we get to tell the tale later. Chapter 10. The Enchanted Silk of Roxana. Hey guys, welcome back. Tonight, get ready for a tale that's about as smooth as a royer's favorite silk, and just as vibrant. We're stepping back into 327 BCE, a time when people were captivated by the glint of shiny things, and self-care involved bathing in the nearest river, if you were lucky. If you're ready to explore a world filled with glamour, conquests, and a hint of romance that could make a soap opera look like a school play, then this adventure is for you. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you find yourself chuckling or drifting to sleep. But no pressure, only share the good vibes if you're feeling them. So dim those lights, set your comfy zone to meditative bliss, and prepare for an immersive experience that will whisk you away to ancient Persia, where the air is thick with the scents of spices, the sound of traders hawking their wares, and perhaps something slightly smelly, like unwashed soldiers trying to impress their queen. As we dive into this realm, let me ask you, have you ever strutted into a room so flawlessly dressed that others couldn't help but stare? Or perhaps, have you ever wondered what it would be like to be a royal, where every day is basically a 24/7 fashion show and all your choices are made by someone else with a love for extravagance? And what about those mysterious aromas drifting from your neighbor's kitchen? Spoiler alert, it's probably not an artisanal sourdough recipe. Welcome to the opulent world of Roxana, a young Bactrian noblewoman whose presence could easily put a fireworks show to shame. Imagine this. It's night, and you've just participated in a feast that could make a modern buffet look like a snack table at a PTA meeting. The air is rich with the smells of grilled lamb, tangy spices, and maybe a hint of sandalwood. Now, as you're reclining on cushions that might as well be clouds, a rustling sound catches your attention. Who is it, you wonder? Congratulations! You've just woken up in a dimly lit tent, the flickering light of oil lamps casting playful shadows on the opulent silk drapes surrounding you. Think of luxury, but with fewer credit card bills and more conscientious efforts towards silk production, possibly involving some very unhappy caterpillars. Suddenly, the tent opens, and in walks Roxana, draped in shimmering silk that glimmers like 1,000 fireflies having a disco party. If beauty were a currency, she could buy the moon, and still have enough left for a nice steak dinner. You can almost hear her entrance music, which is probably something majestic mixed with the sound of cherubs playing tiny harps. As she approaches, it's like a scene straight out of an ancient rom-com. Alexander the Great, the world-renowned conqueror of all that is tough and rugged, suddenly trembling like a leaf. You have to wonder, have you ever felt that dizzying rush when someone walks in, and your brain decides logic has taken a scenic route? There he stands, all 6 feet of bronze meets caramel muscle, suddenly as graceful as a gazelle on roller skates. Now, amidst this unusual encounter, you can't help but ponder the absurdity of it all. Here's Alexander, who could lead armies into battle without breaking a sweat. Yet the moment he locks eyes with Roxana, he transforms into a blushing schoolboy, making you think, dude, you've led men into glory and now you can't handle eye contact. Roxana's eyes sparkle with mischief, and it seems she carries an entire universe of charm and wit just beneath that silken gown. You can almost feel the playful banter about to unfold. What's more absurd? The fact that while they're busy engaging in this ancient version of who can be most charming, you're here wondering if anyone's monitoring the tent for pests, or did anyone think to wax the floor? Seriously, these things matter during significant naptime storytelling, as they converse. It's like watching a magnificent game of cat and mouse. Only instead of chasing after a piece of string, they're darting around snappy compliments and clever retorts. It's the ultimate power play, and, let's be real here, who doesn't love a touch of drama with their history? Suddenly, just when you thought you couldn't bear the heightened tension anymore, Roxana leans in closer. It's as if she's about to drop some ancient wisdom, or, perhaps, reveal a royal family secret that could topple dynasties. Or maybe she's simply murmuring, "Hey, Alexander, how do you feel about a cappuccino after this?" But then, there's something utterly relatable about this moment. They're both entranced, wrapped inside a cocoon of charisma, where the fluttering curtains of the tent seem to dance along with them, creating a romantic backdrop straight out of a 2,000-year-old movie. Who knew conquering the known world could involve this much heart-eyed wonder? And just as Roxana unveils her softer, yet formidable character, you can't help but feel a sense of camaraderie. It's a reminder that sometimes life aligns perfectly, like getting that last piece of pizza or accidentally buying a lemon-scented candle when all you wanted was lavender. Thus, as Alexander stares at her, in what can only be classified as awe, you start to think, maybe being a conqueror isn't just about lands and battles. Maybe, at least sometimes, it's about a smidge of love tangled up in rivalry and romance. Imagine that. The great king, equally overwhelmed and enchanted, while Roxana stands poised and delightful, ready to tip the scales of history simply with a smile. If that's not a power couple, what is? And as you drift deeper into this time and space, you realize, amid wooden warships, chariots of conquest, and the strum of ancient melodies, humanity, be it through laughter, love, or a shared bond over the absurdity of existence, has been the true thread that binds us all together throughout the ages. Chapter 11. A Slice of History, Beneath the Stars. Hey guys, tonight, we're diving into a world more colorful than a toddler's crayon box after a sugar rush, the Persian wedding scene of 327 BCE. Grab your imaginary camels, folks, because we're about to gallop between grand tents, spiced aromas, and a bakery's worth of bread. And I must warn you, there's romance brewing that's hotter than a blacksmith's forge on double overtime. Now, before we drift too far, how many of you have ever found yourself cooking a meal so complicated that you ended with more smoke than food? Or have you ever tried to operate an ancient washing machine? Spoiler alert, it's just a hole in the ground with some water and a lot of prayers. Have you ever thought about the absurdity of a world without microwaves, where the only way to reheat leftovers was to send them back to the underworld? Well, that definitely wasn't the case for our dear friend Alexander and his radiant bride, Roxana. Tonight, we'll witness the splendid chaos of Alexander cutting that first loaf of bread for their sacred union. Yes, it's not just a dessert pastry from your favorite cafe, but is packed with symbolism that would make a philosopher cry, and perhaps ask for a slice. So settle in, cozy up, and prepare for a delightful dive into a moonlit wedding where history meets hilarity. Congratulations! You've just woken up in a magnificent Persian tent, beautifully bedecked with textiles that could probably fund a small kingdom. The moment you open your eyes, the night sky seems to whisper sweet nothings, while the stars twinkle like gossiping nymphs. It's as if the cosmos decided to throw a lavish celebration just for you. The air is heavy with the intoxicating scent of saffron and roasted lamb. Seriously, who needs air fresheners when you could just have a Mediterranean feast? As you stretch, you find yourself nestled among cushions, remarkably plush and likely filled with the feathers of 1,000 very relaxed birds. Nearby, you hear merry laughter mixing with soft, rhythmic music, the kind that makes you feel like dancing, or at least swaying awkwardly until someone hands you a bowl of pilaf. Welcome to the opulent wedding of Alexander and Roxana, where love is fresh, bread is plentiful, and the only thing harder than fitting into your wedding dress is deciding whose turn it is to keep the peace between the families. And there he is, Alexander the Great, who champions an army more extensive than most modern-day college football teams, stands before a massive loaf of bread that could easily double as a shield. Imagine him, decked out in royal splendor, with a sword sheathed at his hip, eyes locked onto Roxana, who could probably have single-handedly dismantled the Roman Empire with a mere flick of her hair. It's less of a wedding, and more of a comedic sketch. The part of the night overcoming obstacles feels strangely relatable, don't you think? So, picture this. The moonlight highlights the expressions of curiosity around the gathered guests, all eagerly waiting for the big moment. Imagine being there with those required awkward conversations about how do you even use a sword for bread, as if it requires a degree in culinary arts from the University of Hilarity. Really, could someone explain why the most important act involved a sword that, let's be honest, likely had more battle scars than a veteran warhorse? In the stillness, you could hear a pin drop unless, of course, someone trips over one of those glittering kilim carpets, which could enter the history books as that time the best man graciously face-planted mid-ceremony. It's the kind of moment you can't make up, where elegance dances hand in hand with clumsiness, and all that is left is a soft chuckle shared among friends. With a flourish, Alexander raises his sword, a moment of heightened tension that might make you gasp. This is not so much about conquering lands, but rather a ceremony in which he has to conquer the loaf. You could almost hear the chorus of ancient bards ringing out, and you'd bet your last sandal that one of them was lamenting the imminent crumb crisis. With a swift slice, he cuts the bread, and miraculously, the audience erupts in joyous applause, as if they'd just witnessed the birth of a new nation. Bread goes flying, bits of crust raining down like confetti at the joyous explosion of carbohydrate creativity. It's a scene straight out of a rom-com. Garlic baguettes flying, and attendees ducking for cover while simultaneously reaching for morsels as if they could be the next lucky recipients of this sacred slice. But wait, the best part comes when he shares the bread with Roxana, who takes the offered piece, her eyes glimmering brighter than the stars. Is it romance? Is it carbohydrates invoking feelings of intimacy? Perhaps both. As they share that moment, all the paranoia of falling face first into history simply fades into an ether of delightful absurdity. Who knew a simple loaf of bread could encapsulate not just tradition but also humor and joy that echo across the ages? And as the night unfolds, amid stolen glances and bursts of laughter, you realize that even in a time punctuated by battles and treaties, love flourished under the grand expanse of the starry sky. History, as it turns out, can be deliciously humorous, spreading across continents like warm butter on freshly baked naan, reminding us that sometimes, It's the smallest moments that carve out the biggest memories. So, here you lie, beneath the starlit tapestry, enveloped in the echoes of laughter and the sheer ridiculousness of a wooden sword doing more than just guarding a sparkling bellicose reputation. And while Roxana and Alexander may be heroic figures, you have learned tonight that even the mightiest need to slice a loaf of bread occasionally, or at least remind themselves of that famous line, love, is as essential as dough. Let's tuck ourselves into the comfort of those ancient wonders, and fall deep into dreams of hilarity and romance, because history can be as comical as it is profound. Good night, dear friends. Chapter 12. The Silent Drama of a Persian Court. Hey guys, tonight, we wade into a swamp deeper than your last family Thanksgiving. The treacherous swirl of power and politics in a cozy Persian court circa 327 BCE, where whispers could cut sharper than a sharpened scimitar, and delicate alliances were like balancing on a surfboard made of Jenga pieces. Just when you thought your office drama couldn't get any juicier, enter Roxana, the woman, the myth, the absolute emblem of don't mess with me unless you enjoy sleeping with the proverbial fishes. Now, before we plunge into this world of intrigue and silk robes, ask yourself this. How would you handle a group of generals as trustworthy as a cat on a Roomba? Or what about attempting to look elegant while figuring out whether that roasted meat on the table is a local delicacy or just last week's leftovers arranged artfully? And if a crowd was swooning over you, would you strut like a peacock or wilt like a forgotten flower on a cactus? Spoiler alert. In a room full of Macedonians, it's best to keep your wits about you. So, let's push the layers of history aside like overzealous party guests and find ourselves snugly nestled in this opulent court, where tensions simmer hotter than a pot of water on a flickering flame. Congratulations. You've just woken up in a Persian court, the kind where treachery is served with a side of biased compliments, and the scent of jasmine intermingles with the thrill of impending doom. As you look around, the room bursts with opulence. Golden thread glimmers from the cushions that could put your most delicious Sunday brunch to shame, offering both comfort and concerns about potential long-term back issues. The walls are adorned with bright paintings of battles, which, admittedly, seem overly cheerful for a place where sharp words are exchanged sharper than any sword. Roxana, draped in layers of exquisite silk that could probably fund a small island nation, stands amidst a throng of Macedonian generals. Imagine wearing the equivalent of an ornate cupcake wrapper with the confidence more typically reserved for skydivers. Her expression is as composed as frosting on a birthday cake, while internally, she is navigating the bubbling cauldron of court life, dodging whispers of betrayal like an expert dodgeball player. Once you shift your focus, you notice the generals. The generals. They strut around like a gaggle of peacocks, wanting to be crowned as the official fluffiest creatures in the court. Their tunics shimmer like overzealous jewels, but an observer might just notice that those fancy jewels don't buy respect. Instead, they get you a front row seat to the clamor of egos clashing louder than a toddler tantrum in a toy store. And what's that noise? Oh yes, that's the sound of idle gossip swirling through the air, a delightful cocktail of "did you hear? And I can't believe she said that." So how many future backstabbers are lurking behind that beautiful tapestry? One can only speculate whether they're more concerned with ensuring Roxana's safety or forming their own cutthroat alliances. If only there were a giant sign signaling who was friends with whom. Then there's Roxana's renowned calmness, a trait that could win awards. She is the sort of woman who can carry a pet cat while solving world problems, or at least holding her own while others trample over each other in pursuit of power. Picture her as a high-stakes poker player, every glance a card, every smile a calculated deception. If Roxana had a theme song, it would be a subtle blend of Snoop Dogg's "Drop It Like It's Hot" and a meditative jazz piece, "Shuffle That Paperwork, Don't Let 'Em See You Sweat." Suddenly, the air shifts. You can practically hear the whispers poking at Roxana's reputation, like a mischievous child poking a sleeping bear. "I heard she's influencing Alexander," boasts one pompous general like he's discovered a new planet. Influencing. You ponder, curious if this ends with military strategizing or merely an overpowered social media campaign. But oh dear, the political quagmire deepens. It's like being embroiled in a soap opera where the cameras are real and reality choices come with life or death consequences. One general fidgets, his golden embroidery jingling like an over-enthusiastic ice cream truck. Another sharpens his dagger while staring at Roxana, which feels less like a gesture of camaraderie and more like he's scoring the first act of a tragedy. So, imagine Roxana's immaculate strategy. She smiles, engaging the generals in light-hearted talk that feels about as reassuring as receiving a massage from a weeping cactus. "Oh, General Salty Scimitar. Do tell. What's your secret for success? Is it being nice, or just terrifying everyone else into submission?" The room giggles, and you can almost feel the tension rebounding like rubber bands being twisted tighter. There's artistry in the way she interacts, more tact than a baby fawn taking its first steps. And there's pride in the air that almost resembles the aroma of fresh baked bread, an illusion of comfort amidst the looming fear of conspiracy. It all enhances Roxana's aura, that empowering sense of, yes, I'm surrounded by people who'd stab me in the back at a moment, but tonight I'll pretend we're sharing cozy mugs of tea. Through every wonderfully absurd social dance, she remains vigilant, as stealthy as a cat walking on a velvet runway. And while a storm brews on the horizon, you feel oddly at ease. Crises may lurk, alliances may quiver, and swords may glisten ominously, but for now, you're nestled in the heart of history. And perhaps the most beautiful paradox is this: even amidst the threats of betrayal and undercurrents of chaos, Roxana crafts a narrative that's equal parts thrilling drama and dulcet comedy. Remember, as you tumble deeper into dreams, the snares of history often come wrapped in silks and laughter, a gentle reminder that even the toughest battles sometimes start simply with navigating a conversation at a court of generals. So settle in, let the jokes of ancient tongues soothe your soul, and drift sweetly into slumber. Good night, dear friends. Chapter 13. The Whispering Stars of Alexander's Camp. Hey guys. Tonight, we take a cozy jaunt into the wilderness, where the air is fresher than a New Age meditation retreat, and the ambience is as peaceful as a cat snoozing on a sunny windowsill. Picture this. You're snugly camping with Alexander the Great, and his surprisingly influential wife, Roxana, yes. Even a luminary like Alexander had moments that seemed more like a Pinterest camping trip gone awry. But as you settle in for the night, I invite you to ponder some serious questions. What on earth did ancient people do when the stars twinkled above them like a celestial disco ball? Did they ever think, hey, maybe we should just go home and order takeout? Or perhaps, Roxana mused over whether she could sneak in a 9-month subscription for baby supplies without Alexander's generals noticing. And how many ways could one use firelight to woo your soon-to-be mother of your child? So many mysteries, so little time. Dim the lights. Put on that calming fan you promised yourself you'd use more often. And let's drift off into the historic cosmos of 327 BCE, where dreams were as wild as the missing dinner plans of an Athenian philosopher. Congratulations, you've just woken up in a lush Indian camp under the twinkling stars, and guess what? The war-weary armies of Alexander are snoozing around you like a bunch of tired bear cubs after an all-you-can-eat honey buffet. The scent of crisp wilderness mingles with the earthy aroma of dew-kissed grass, creating a symphony of smells that feels oddly like a salad bar, if the salad bar were located in the middle of an ancient Indian jungle. The crackling embers of the fire glow like gossiping candles, sharing secrets more tantalizing than a soap opera cliffhanger. As you look around, the soldiers are nestled in blankets that are more threadbare than your great-aunt's sense of fashion, their dreams mingling with the luminous stars that seem to either wink cheerfully or plot an epic interstellar drama of their own. As you pull your cloak tighter, you notice Alexander and Roxana seated not too far from the glowing warmth, their voices floating through the night like delightful melodies against the backdrop of whispering leaves. It's almost Zen, if Zen included spirited debates about world domination and how best to establish a future kingdom without a solid Wi-Fi connection. Roxana, glowing and impeccably poised, much like a queen bee but with a dash of maternal flair, listens intently as Alexander recounts tales of distant lands, battles fought, and victories that tasted sweeter than honeyed figs. So, darling, she says, her voice teasingly rich like spiced wine, is it too much to ask for a quiet evening in a villa by the Mediterranean after all this? Alexander chuckles, his laughter echoing across the still night, a sound as unwieldy as a runaway elephant in a pottery shop. Ah, but where's the fun in that? We could have villas, darling, but wouldn't you prefer conquering cities and building empires? I must ensure our child has a kingdom more diverse than a box of assorted chocolates. Indeed, the prospect of raising a little conqueror was enticing. Imagine toddler Alexander wielding a wooden sword, rounding up imaginary infantry and sliding behind couches like they were enemy fortifications. Our nap time and battles fought like epic sieges. Roxana could only giggle at the idea, the kind of silent laughter that gives birth to an empire of her own. The air is punctuated by the gentle rustling of the soldiers, barely disturbed by the soft strumming of guitars crafted from overturned chariots and ancient wood, an experimental orchestra in the making. What's a conquering army without a few tunes to lift their spirits? It's happy hour, Macedonian style, with hearty brews that would make today's craft beers look like limp fizzy water. And amidst the glow of the firelight, as Roxana stirs the pot of boiled grain, an unfortunate snack, often compared to medieval gruel. By the uninitiated, there's something undeniably sweet about this moment. Imagine, she muses, her voice low, years from now, historians will speak of our love, of our tales under these very stars, weaving stories more potent than the strongest potion. You'd almost drop your imaginary drink in surprise at how casually romantic warfare could get. Was this what people meant when they said love could conquer all? It certainly felt close enough, as the very stars above seemed to nod in agreement, or perhaps they just liked the gossip. So, kicking back, you can't help but wonder, would one day become an epically hilarious legend about how Alexander awkwardly proposed under a canopy of fireflies? Because you just know that those fireflies were probably squabbling about who had the brightest glow, making their tiny bodies flash in tandem with the ancient beating hearts of those camped about like a cosmic lullaby. The laughter blends with the night's sweet silence, wrapping around you snugly like a cozy blanket. Alexander and Roxana, two figures of history marching to their own drum, are but mere mortals, dreaming big under the stars. And as you settle into the rhythm of their remarkable world, it dawns upon you sometimes, the most powerful narratives arise not from grandiose proclamations, but from simple whispers exchanged beneath the cosmic quilt of time. And so, dear friend, let the sweet lull of their stories and dreams wash over you, reminding you that even the mightiest of warriors can share a laugh under the gentle scrutiny of the universe's twinkling eyes. Stay wrapped in that warmth, and allow history to gently cradle you to sleep. Sweet dreams await, filled with warriors, wooden swords, and perhaps an unexpected takeout order of dreams that taste just as winning as those ancient grains. Good night. Chapter 14. The Whispers of Destiny in Babylon. Hey guys. Tonight, we find ourselves in a setting warmer than a summer's day at your beloved aunt's backyard barbecue, minus the chance of getting your head bitten off by a wayward relative. Prepare for a trip back to 323 BCE, where stylish robes were the norm and technology meant wooden chariots and very enthusiastic paper maps. Now, have you ever considered just how dramatically a person's life can change in the blink of an eye? Like, 1 minute, you're a conquering hero on a beautiful Mediterranean cruise, and the next, you're, well, bedbound with a temperature that could make a pot of water boil. And what about the heart of a queen? What does that feel like? Watching someone who could conquer empires become as fragile as a paper lantern in a windstorm. Not exactly the date night Roxana had in mind. So, snuggle under those blankets, dim the lights, and if you think it'll help, crank up that fan to full blast. As we plunge into the warmth and wonder of Babylon, do you ever wonder what intricate thoughts ran through Roxana's head as she sat vigil beside her ailing husband? Was she contemplating how to reign over a kingdom, or just how to deal with his man-flu drama? Did she anticipate a future filled with heroes' songs written in her honor, or merely imagine how she'd get her hands on some quality me time? Congratulations! You've just woken up in the splendid city of Babylon, a place so magnificent they'd lose their minds if they could see today's buildings. You're draped luxuriantly on a gilded bed, surrounded by silk pillows, softer than a cloud made from the dreams of puppies. This isn't just any Tuesday. You're privy to the very last hours of Alexander the Great, definitely not the Instagram story he wished for. The palace is alive with whispers, the kind that float through the air like cozy aromas of freshly baked bread wafting from the neighbor's kitchen. Candles flicker with a light so golden it could easily be mistaken for liquid sunshine, while sounds of rustling tapestries and distant chatter feel about as comforting as a warm cup of chamomile. Here you sit, perched in opulence, but one might argue that the actual activity happening is more akin to forlorn silence than royal merriment. Roxana, framed like a stunning painting, is seated beside Alexander. Her beauty and grace radiate amidst the hollow luxury, yet there's a lingering worry in her eyes. You can practically hear her internal monologue. How do I look good while he's busy turning into a human version of a wilted flower? Now, picture it. There lies Alexander, renowned conqueror, the master of strategy, reduced to a bed of contemplation, speechless and feverish, much like you when you try to grasp the complexities of an IKEA assembly manual. He gazes into the distance, and who knows? Maybe right there, he's plotting a crucial state affair involving cleverly designed Legos, or possibly dreaming of what biscuits must have tasted like in his last meal. The atmosphere between them is thick, with unspoken feelings. Roxana's fingers absently caress a silken weave, echoing her own unrest. Should I threaten him with my mother-in-law's soup recipe if he doesn't get any better? A fine woman adapting to a situation that's more complex than a Shakespearean play, juggling the delicate dance of courtly love and uncertainty. In the stillness of the room, you can practically hear her thoughts. I certainly didn't sign up for being the queen of an empire built on pasta and little wooden swords. What could be worse than watching your spouse slip further away? It's like watching your Netflix series get cancelled mid-season, all too abrupt, and you're left dangling with a slew of unresolved storylines. As the shadows play games upon the gilded walls, a chuckle escapes Roxana, a soft, muted one that comes with the realization that even queens can find humor in heartache. I suppose I should just start cataloging all these tragic love letters, she muses. Because, really, who wouldn't want a finale scandal of ancient proportions? Like, dear future historians, please refer to this episode of Total Romantic Despair. Meanwhile, down the hall, servants shuffle about, blissfully unaware of the epic emotional turmoil unfolding in the royal chambers. They're busy polishing the golden artifacts just in case they have to host a last-minute banquet because, of course, nothing heals heartbreak quite like overindulgence in roast peacock. And then, out of this contemplative chaos, a whispered resolve echoes through the air. If things don't improve, at least I can plan a queenly escape, maybe start an empire of my own. Imagine it, Roxana, queen of relaxation. No more wars, maybe just a few yoga retreats. Suddenly, it hits you. The power of this moment, the blend of dread and beauty. 2. Humans, bound by love and labor, create a tapestry thicker than any silks appropriately would suggest. Roxana's thoughts flicker from doubt to determination, as she surely contemplates a future not just for her beloved, but for the entire realm that hangs on their conversation. As the evening deepens, Roxana's heart swells with the weight of history, revealing to you that even in the eve of despair, humor and love bloom. So let those thoughts swirl in your own mind, dear listener, as the candles burn low, reminding you that laughter often finds its way, even amongst the heaviest silks of life's fabric. Sleep now, and let the rich tapestry of their dreams float you away into a peaceful slumber, where heroes never merely fade, they always leave behind a good story. Good night. Chapter 15. Roxana's Gambit in the Palace of Babylon. Hey guys. Tonight, prepare for a tale more twisted than the last family reunion you attended, the kind where Aunt Mabel brought her infamous fruitcake and Uncle Terry just wouldn't stop telling stories about his cat's latest exploits. We're diving deep into the fanciful intrigues of 327 BCE, where royal drama simmered under layers of silk and suspicion. Now, imagine for a moment being trapped in a royal palace, where every chuckle, whisper, and footstep has the potential to mark you as friend or foe. Ever wondered what it's like to wear a sparkling tiara while calculating the exact number of court rivals you could send into an unmarked tomb with a mere flick of your silken scarf? Spoiler alert, it's definitely less glamorous and much more nerve-wracking than your last office potluck. Do you think Roxana ever sighed in the mirror, wondering how it felt to orchestrate a royal coup while keeping her eyebrows flawlessly arched? Or while plotting a path to power, did she ever accidentally draw alternates of tiny bread loaves instead of actual strategies? Asterisk. Note to self, royal chaos doesn't pair well with breakfast ideas. Asterisk, congratulations. You've just awoken in the resplendent palace of Babylon, where the air hangs thick with the essence of rosemary and mild treachery. Your head is resting atop embroidered silk, so soft it feels like a gentle cloud hugging your ears, but underneath, a tempest churns. Picture this. You find yourself in a vast hall, adorned with vivid murals, scenes of victory and valor that would make even the mightiest squabbling noble weep from pride. The scent of roasted lamb wafts through the chambers, mingled with an undercurrent of not-so-subtle panic. Who knew feasting could come with such a side of impending doom? In one corner, gather round, dear historians. Here, we witness the sheer cunning of Roxana, doing her absolute best impersonation of a serene swan. Yet, beneath those flowing silks lie ideas sharper than a harpy's talons. With Alexander's esteemed, the key word here is ahem, asterisk, ailing times, presence looming in her mind. She thinks, what's a girl to do when there's a potential times French fry times of power? Let's navigate this drama like an amateur chef on a sinking cruise ship. It's in the deeper recesses of those opulent walls that her thoughts zigzag between the tender protection of her unborn child and the alarming threat posed by those cheeky Persians, all too ready to shake off their royal metaphorical dust and step up to the game board. There she is, Roxana, ruthless yet equally fragile, navigating this treacherous world like a ballerina on a tightrope made of spaghetti. One misstep could send her plummeting into the depths of palace intrigue, or worse, into the hands of her rivals. With skilled precision, she delicately folds her veils and rehearses her lines. Oh, dear courtiers, perhaps you might enjoy a lovely banquet at my place? It'll be a real times hit, as I've got charred toast and too much cinnamon. But the real banquet lurking on her mind isn't the culinary feast, it's the feast of revenge simmering just below the surface. Should I do it? She muses, absent-mindedly fiddling with a dangling silver earring, one that glimmers as brightly as her intentions. Could I simply rid ourselves of those sly nobles, in a swift and decisive manner? You almost feel the gears grinding in her head. Asterisk, send them into the great unknown, or simply relegate them to snack-shoveling duties at future banquets. Asterisk. Ultimately, Roxana settles on practicality with a side of panache as she smooths her gown, whispering to herself, fraternity and merit are finest bedfellows, unless, of course, large boulders suddenly appear. It's amusing how she deftly equates gathering an army of loyal servants to hosting an unexpected dinner party, quickly realized. Of course, with all the chaos of a cat in a bathtub. And then, a cascade of hushed courtiers rushes in, unaware that they're about to be woven into her elaborate tapestry of fate. You can only imagine the echo of their whispered plotting and schemes buzzing through the corridors like a swarm of over-caffeinated bees. What do you think she's up to? Is that an assassination plot, or just another one of her poorly planned flip-flop dance routines? Now, picture it. Roxana tiptoeing down the marble floors, a calculated look in her eyes sharper than her best dagger. Her heart races as she pulls together a conspiracy none would expect, silent eradication of her rivals, weaved into the very fabric of royal soirees. Because why waste a perfectly good day off when you can eliminate half your issues with a well-planned poison? That's a 2-for-1 deal any savvy queen would seize. As she settles on her game plan, there's also a part of you that's thinking, wow, being a royal really feels like peak adulting. Coupled with the stress of impending motherhood and palace politics, Roxana ponders whether nap time is still a possibility. Is this how my mother prepared me for the responsibilities? No? Cool. Thanks for absolutely nothing, mother. But to navigate this intricate power play, one must also master the art of subtly perfecting the unexpected. It's the chaos and humor she embraces that brings you to a place where you can't help but chuckle. Does conspiracy work better when paired with wine or the finest of honey cakes? Maybe she'll toss in some spiced almonds, because nothing says remove rivals like a banquet of delicacies that hint at sinister undertones. And so, dear listener, the stage is set. As Roxana's plans unfurl like a majestic carpet, carrying the weight of silent, chilling executions cloaked in the guise of grand gatherings, you can't help but feel the excitement bubbling beneath the surface. Will this young queen carve her name into the annals of history with blood and bravery? Or will her efforts merely become the whisper of a fascinating tale over future roasted chicken? Only time and a dish of honey cakes will tell. So, let us drift together into sleep, pondering the layers of intrigue and humor swirling through ancient halls, knowing every whisper has the power to shape kingdoms. Good night. Chapter 16. The Gilded Cage of Alexander and Roxana. Hey guys. Tonight, buckle up your mental seatbelts, because we're stepping into a historical drama thicker than your last 6 bleach blonde dating escapades. Get ready for a tale where alliances are as fragile as your aunt's favorite crystal dishes and intrigue bounces around the room like a hyperactive puppy on espresso. Now, ever found yourself trapped in a chic, metaphorical cage while trying to navigate the treacherous waters of social dynamics? Just imagine, you're perched at a family gathering, and you can practically feel your cousin Larry's jealousy tunnel straight into your cranial cavity. It's awkward, it's electric, and one wrong move might land you on the wrong side of a potato salad catastrophe. Before we dive into the historical juice, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy these mildewy tales from history's attic, but only if you really feel the urge. Because peer pressure is so, last decade, right? Let's set the scene, shall we? Close your eyes and picture a sumptuous palace, a gleaming, abstract version of how royalty imagined suburban living. The air is a tangled mix of ripe figs and confused perfume. Is it jasmine or desperation? And you've just woken up as a guest in the most exclusive yet utterly suffocating gilded cage of 327 BCE. Congratulations! You're nestled in the heart of Babylon, surrounded by the powerful Diadochi generals, those ambitious old buzzards, bustling about like bees who forgot where they stored their honey. This is a place steeped in history, somewhat reminiscent of your last trip to that upscale mall where the sales associates scowl, and everyone's trying to look important while sipping overpriced lattes. But hang on a second, what's that peculiar jingle? It's the sound of pride, foolishness, and an entire kingdom hanging in the balance. Alexander IV, our not-so-diligent boy king, is about to take center stage, and guess whose destiny is intertwined with his? That's right, his lovely and equally nervous queen, Roxana. Ah, Roxana, a name that glimmers like a shiny new coin, yet echoes of peril whirl just beyond the silken drapes. Let's think about her predicament for a moment. Ever tried to fly a kite while being pushed into murky waters? That's Roxana, held captive by both the glittery allure of the palace and the insidious schemes of power-hungry generals. If only there were a parental figure around to say, "Sweetheart, it's perfectly fine to guard a kingdom while figuring out your life goals simultaneously." Now, take a deep breath. The ornate walls of the palace rise high, shimmering like an outfit you wish you could pull off, but know full well only exists in a fashion show for the eternally young and fabulous. In this world, you catch snippets of anxious whispers floating through the air, like wispy clouds of impending chaos. Will Roxana weather the storm, or will the winds of betrayal blow her down? You might wonder, what's it like to negotiate your fate while seated at the royal dinner table? Is it like that one time you tried to cut your friend's hair and realized about 2 inches in that, wow, she definitely needs a new stylist? You're left praying that no one notices as you smile awkwardly while your hands tremble under the weight of societal expectations. As the sun beats down on the palace, spinning its golden rays like a bewildered cat chasing its tail, Roxana's thoughts twirl dangerously close to mutiny. Think about it, plotting a royal coup has its charms, especially when it involves outsmarting those Diadochi generals who, let's face it, are about as subtle as a marching band in a library. Perhaps she's still trying to figure out how to showcase her tactical acumen, while stifling the impulse to launch her sparkling wine right into the faces of those who dare question her loyalty. It's like deciding whether or not to bring potato salad to a picnic. Everyone gripes about who brought the weird dip, but really, they just want to avoid tangled social traps altogether. And then there's young Alexander IV, poor lad, caught in the crossfire. Imagine a puppy that accidentally trotted into a lion's den, only to realize there's a live buffet all around him. The pressures of being a boy king while his royal dreams clash around him like grocery carts in a parking lot, well, it's enough to make even the strongest noble want to crawl under a tapestry like a dog hiding from thunder. Should I play it safe or spout some witty repartee? Roxana wonders, adjusting her finely spun gown, which only seems to amplify the stakes, like a pair of uncomfortable heels during a long workday. If only feasting came with a side of straightforwardness. But alas, courtly gatherings morph into elaborate games of cat and mouse. One moment you're cheering for nice lamb chops, and the next you're dodging political daggers flying through the air like dramatic confetti. With her mind racing, should she pull her best Joker impersonation and turn polite goodwill into a royal spectacle? Hey, friend, why don't we bond over a lovely game of who can get the most generals to disappear at dinner? Only to find everyone in the room nodding vigorously as if they've just been hit with a revelation worthy of Shakespeare's worst, and Roxana secretly ponders if taking up knitting would be less treacherous. As the sun sets, and the shadows creep into courtier hearts, the stage is primed for unwitting alliances and hidden motives. The grand tapestry of Babylon's politics shakes, and laughter rings through the chambers like echoes of some glorious prankster. Now, as you drift into a peaceful slumber, remember, there's a certain comedy in chaos, especially when elaborate schemes unfold in gilded cages. Who knows what tomorrow will bring, the joy of royal mischief or the unraveling of rivalries, all while you dream of goat yoga? Good night. Chapter 17. The Monastery at Dawn. Hey guys, tonight, prepare to wade through tales more tranquil than a cat soaking up the sun on a windowsill. We're off to a serene sanctuary where serenity blossoms like an overwatered orchid and mischief lurks in the corners, like that one cousin who's always looking for an excuse to stir the pot at family gatherings. Now, have you ever silently wished that adulting could be replaced by blissful candle-lit evenings, surrounded by handcrafted manuscripts, as you enjoy the faint smell of incense and absolutely zero responsibilities? I mean, is it just me, or wouldn't a cozy life at a monastery, illuminated by the gentle flicker of candlelight, be a welcome alternative to the relentless chaos of modern life? But hold your horses, as I invite you to dim those lights. Perhaps light a few candles, for ambience, you know, and make yourself a comfy fort of pillows. If you're really ambitious, consider donning a wool robe. It's good for the soul and surprisingly effective at warding off spontaneous social obligations. As we drift into the golden glow of a monastery at dawn, you might be raising some important questions. Did these monks debate which manuscript had the prettiest calligraphy on particularly mundane Tuesday mornings? Did they ever accidentally spill incense on the pages, leading to celestial drama worthy of a daytime soap? And was there any serious side-eye exchanged when someone, let's say, mistakenly brought goat cheese to a hymn sing-along? Congratulations! You've just woken up in the peaceful confines of Lindisfarne Monastery in 327 BCE, ready to immerse yourself in a dichotomy of serenity and, well, slightly overzealous spiritual antics. The first thing you notice, after the glorious soft light of dawn spills into the monastery like warm honey, is the sound of gentle rustling. Monks in wool robes glide through the air as if they've mistaken the floor for a dance floor. The scent of parchment, mingled with candle wax, and a hint of something accidentally burnt, probably that goat cheese, wraps around you like the coziest hug imaginable. Candlelight flickers, casting playful shadows across gilded manuscripts wedged between wooden beams, and sometimes, just sometimes, you can almost hear them whisper their tales. You know, they might be saying something deeply profound, or perhaps gossiping about the last batch of pottage misjudged by Brother Athelstan. Let's not forget about that culinary mishap. It was a ripple through history when the soup turned out more like a swamp than a savory stew. Around you, the monks work on manuscripts, illuminating each page with strokes of colorful pigments that would tangentially make Van Gogh weep. Imagine them, carefully brushing a splash of gold leaf onto the edges, pondering if it truly enhances the artwork, or just makes it look like they're compensating for a subpar narrative. You can't gloss over bad storytelling. With too much gold, Brother Eldred mutters, completely ignoring the exquisite irony of their situation. Their joy in this quiet work reflects a humorous duality. You have to appreciate the ancient monks' relish in treating the sacred as an artistic endeavor, or perhaps that was just an excuse to cloak their daily chores with a pre-made touch of drama. Talk about putting an unnecessary twist on reality. It's almost like modern-day folks hosting DIY pottery parties, where everyone pretends that their inadvertently lopsided bowls are actually avant-garde masterpieces, while secretly worrying if they'll still be usable at all. Then, as the sun rises higher, you can almost hear the monks harmonizing the sounds of a morning hymn across the simple stone walls. the tones ebb and flow, dipping like the spires of their abbey. It's a sound that reaches out, assuring you that no matter how absurd life becomes, heaven, or at least a nice glimmer of peace, awaits on the other side of a well-sung note. And while they sing, one can't help but wonder, did these earnest monks ever lose their patience during all this reflection? Perhaps they occasionally found the urge to debate the merits of various ink brands. Was one better than the other? Did some monks stick to their original ink formulas, while others experimented like mad scientists in a world where the only drama available poured from their quills? As you lean into the atmosphere, you stumble upon a forgotten corner, where the smell of incense wafts thickly in the air, melding with humor as Brother Edmund, a self-proclaimed expert in culinary herbs, concocts a weird herbal mixture destined for something that could have all sorts of unintended consequences. Ginger and sage, he mutters, perfect for spiritual awakening. Or perhaps just a terrible case of indigestion. Only time will tell. In the gentle light and warmth, you realize that amidst the pursuit of enlightenment, the simple absurdity of humanity thrives. They wade through life like some plucky pilgrims on a journey of growth, rejuvenation, and the occasional bout of procrastination disguised as deep contemplation. So drift gently in this historical reverie, as the calming essence of Lindisfarne's holy echoes envelops you. With humor at play and wisdom woven in, you might find that the path to sleep is filled with absurdity far deeper than the ink on the tantalizing pages sprawled in front of you. Good night, dear dreamer. Remember, even in the most serious pursuits, there's always room for a chuckle or two. Chapter 18. The Wooden Warship and Praise for Pagan Rage. Hey guys! Tonight, we embark on an adventure more exciting than finding an extra fry at the bottom of the bag. A wooden warship slicing through the mist, like a boat on a sea of confusion, because really, who would have thought a floating dragon would be on its way to ruin someone's perfectly serene monastery retreat? But before we dive into the chaotic and strangely humorous world of ancient naval warfare and angry pagan gods, I kindly ask you to hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe leave a comment, letting us know your most embarrassing boat-related blunders, only if you actually enjoyed this, of course. No pressure. Now dim those lights, turn on a gentle fan, because who doesn't love that refreshing breeze? And make yourself comfortable. Perhaps wrap that cozy blanket around you like an ill-fitting safety net, ready to catch you from the absurdity lurking in the corners. If you've ever wondered, did Viking warriors double as interior decorators? Or how did they manage to keep their wooden ships from smelling like wet dog? Prepare to be amused and perhaps slightly bewildered. Congratulations! You've just woken up in 327 BCE, perhaps on the very shores of Lindisfarne itself, where a wooden warship approaches like an ominous storm cloud on the horizon. Now, let's take a moment to admire the elegant horror of our dragon-headed longship gliding through the North Sea mist like a particularly aggressive sea serpent. These vessels are not just boats, they are floating pieces of art that could frighten any pensioner looking for a peaceful afternoon stroll by the water. The prows, carved with snarling dragons, seem to growl at anything resembling tranquility, almost like they're saying, "We didn't sail this far just to have a nice cup of tea." As you absorb the scene, picture yourself as a startled monk on the shore, clutching your carefully crafted manuscript, like a lifebuoy. The ship approaches, low in the water, resembling a predatory cat or maybe a particularly mischievous otter, if otters were intent on plundering and were wholly uninterested in fish. You can smell the sea salt and seaweed mixed with the delicate aroma of impending chaos. Is that incense or just the intense panic of your average monk backing away slowly? Only time will tell. The longship, often referred to as a dragon boat by modern enthusiasts with a flair for melodrama, has an intimidating demeanor. It's like watching your neighbor pull up in a flashy new car, only this one is armed for pillaging. But wait, let's not forget the crew, brutish, boisterous, and possibly fueled by a diet of questionable fish, stew and mead, ready to storm the local bakery, or should I say, bakery monastery, smashing through doors like toddlers on a sugar high. As the ship's oars dip rhythmically into the water, you can almost hear the crew singing a battle chant that rivals any karaoke night you've ever attended, probably involving whispers of glory, the odd curse at seagulls, and the dramatic retelling of why fish stew is the last thing anyone should ever order. Their voices resonate across the mist, a symphony of enthusiasm, buoyed by the thrill of potentially ruining someone's day while simultaneously enjoying a very hearty laugh about it later. Now, consider this. Why would Vikings sail all the way to the English coast just to mess with quiet monks? Maybe they were searching for new recipes, or perhaps they thought the monks' singing was a bit off-key and needed tuning. Every boat trip must have a purpose, right? Or perhaps it was just for the thrill, the ultimate joy ride on the tranquil waters, where the adrenaline rush comes not from roller coasters, but from the glorious sight of terrified monks fleeing in a flurry of wool and sandals. But back to our longship, the true star of this charming disaster. Its hull, made of oak, has seen more scrapes and bruises than most modern cars. It has battled storms, pirates, and possibly a grouchy ancient sea god with a thing against long-haired warriors. This ship is a testament that while wood might be more fragile than a paper cup, it can endure all sorts of nautical nonsense, including but not limited to questionable repair jobs, and the inevitable seaweed that clings to the side like that one stubborn guest who insists on staying just a little too long. As our dragon-headed marvel approaches the shore, the gravity of the situation dawns on you, like the realization that your laundry has been in the dryer for slightly too long. If the crew thought their social lives were rough before, they're about to find out that nothing says goodbye to peace like crashing the local monastery party. Picture them leaping from their ship, swords raised, ready to storm into a realm of holy peace, and perhaps liven up those antiquated hymns with their absolutely riveting dance moves of pillaging. They are the ultimate party crashers. As chaos descends, you can't help but think, is sandals and pearls enough for this chaos? As you hear clanking swords mingling with the melodic sounds of confused monks trying to understand how to uninvite their aggressive guests. Talk about a social faux pas. And so, amidst the sacred tranquility of their mourning, the monks of Lindisfarne experience the literal wild side of history crashing their doors. Good night, dear dreamer. As you tuck yourself in, remember, even the most holy of places have an uninvited history. So, keep your dreams light, and maybe, just maybe, don't overnight compose an epic poem about a dragon boat. Chapter 19. The Armored Roar of the Norse. Hey guys, tonight we leap into a time more chaotic than a toddler's birthday party after the cake has been served. The era of Viking raids, complete with bearded warriors whose armor was likely sturdier than their emotional stability. Imagine a crew of leather-clad gentlemen, if you can call them that, leaping off their longships like caffeinated bunnies ready for a ruckus, and trust me, they were as keen on making friends as a cat is about sharing its favorite sunbeam. Before we dive into this delightful chaos, let me gently remind you to hit that like button, subscribe, and perhaps comment about a time you dove headfirst into a questionable social situation. Maybe like that office party where only 3 people showed up. No pressure, though. We're just here to keep things smooth and delightful, like butter on a hot biscuit. Now, as you nestle into your cozy bed, maybe with a soft blanket snuggled around you like an overzealous hug, let's conjure up a few nonsense questions. Did Viking warriors hum catchy tunes while they swung their axes? What's the proper way to greet a Norse god? And where on earth did they find leather armor that didn't smell like goat, or did they embrace the goat odor as part of their rugged charm? Congratulations. You've just woken up in 793 CE, to the thrilling and slightly bewildering shores of Lindisfarne. Picture this. The sun barely peeking over the horizon, the kind of dawn that tries its best to be serene, but is thoroughly interrupted by the guttural roars of Viking warriors, as they leap off their longships, axes clanging against their armor, in a cacophony more alarming than a fire alarm at a quiet library. Their longship, a beautifully crafted sneckja, slices through the surf like an angry spatula, eager to take a hefty swipe at breakfast. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate our bristling friends, these bearded marauders, whose fierce battle cries sound like a cross between a feral cat and that one guy who shows up at karaoke night too many times. As they storm the sandy beach, you'd think they're announcing a new reality TV show, Survivor. The Pagans, guiding you through their best tips for pillaging while still maintaining a healthy work-life balance. But look closer. Their leather armor, both rough and awkwardly fashionable, looks more like the outcome of a poorly planned medieval thrift store than actual battle garb. Each warrior is about as intimidating as a bear that can't decide whether it wants a hug or a sandwich. Yet, despite their sartorial missteps, their enthusiasm is unwavering, fueled by the kind of fervor usually reserved for Black Friday sales or taco truck openings. As they approach you, smell that salty air, mixed with the unexpected aroma of aged fish and sweat. That's Viking cologne. Perfect for those special occasions like crashing a fancy monastic breakfast. You can't help but wonder what they might. We have thought about brunch. What do you mean you don't have axes as dessert forks? We'll just see ourselves in. Yet, as you stand there, a slightly confused monk clutching your beautifully crafted manuscript, a possible bestseller long before the Da Vinci Code, you can feel the inescapable tension build. Their enthusiasm rises like a loaf of bread that, let's be honest, has seen better days. The battle calls echo through the air, mingling with your sudden desire for a warm scone that you're pretty sure is safe to eat. Now, have you ever given much thought to the workings of a Viking's mind before a raid? Probably not. Imagine their morning pep talk. All right team, remember to smile for the villagers. We're here for both chaos and a side of vitamin D. Now who's up for some complimentary pillaging? These fierce warriors, energetic as a horde of toddlers at a candy store, clearly have a minor distinction when it comes to social etiquette. Conversations usually don't start with hello, but rather with swinging axes and yelling something unintelligible about Odin and an urgent need for bread rolls. And don't forget their pets. Your average Viking boasted the courage of 10 men and the culinary taste of a dumpster diver. If it moved, they probably thought, food or friend? Decisions. Back on the beach, the chaotic scenes unfold. Monks scatter like autumn leaves in a windstorm, desperately trying to figure out how to perform a divine run for your life ritual without any prior practice. Picture a group of them gathering around a makeshift altar, trying to commune with the heavens, while sidestepping a pack of looting Vikings who've decided they really wanted to taste that lovely ecclesiastical wine. Amidst this pandemonium, you can't help but chuckle at the absurdity. The Vikings charging toward what was supposed to be a morning of peaceful reflection couldn't be more out of place unless they rolled in wearing clown costumes, a sight that would likely have caused even the most devout monk to question their faith. So, as chaos reigns triumphant upon the shores of Lindisfarne, let it be a gentle reminder that even the most sacred spaces have their uninvited guests. Close your eyes, dear dreamer, wrap yourself in that comforting blanket, and drift off, knowing that sometimes history is just a string of oddly amusing events, strung together like day-old pasta. Sleep well, for even in nightmares, axe-wielding Vikings make for spectacular company. Chapter 20. The Raiding Monk's Misguided Retreat. Hey guys. Tonight, we're venturing into a time more chaotic than a dog chasing its own tail in a room full of laser pointers, the wild and riotous days of Viking raids. Picture this. The might of Norse warriors charging through the mist with axes raised high, ready to take anything that isn't nailed down, and quite possibly everything that is. These fellows made impulse shopping at 2 a.m. look like a Sunday stroll in the park, but with far fewer consequences, at least until someone found out about the missing spoons. Now, before we embark on this journey into a world where the alarm clock wasn't invented, but the hangover was thriving, remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe share your most ridiculous oops moment from your own life, like that time the microwave took revenge on your leftover pasta. But only if you actually enjoy this, of course. So, snuggle into that cozy cocoon of blankets you call a bed, dim the lights a tad, and maybe switch on a soft fan, because we all know historical turbulence can get a bit stuffy. Think about the life of a monk living in a monastery during this era. Did they wear their robes like a fashionable statement, or strictly out of necessity? I mean, who wouldn't want to make a divine fashion statement, particularly one that screams, I have a strong aversion to color? And how did they manage to keep their hair so neat in that lack of shampoo and pomade? What was their ward for bad puns and terrible jokes among the brethren? The punastery? Congratulations. You've just woken up in 793 CE, smack dab in the middle of a seaside monastery, where tranquility is about to be comprehensively disrupted. You'd think it might be a peaceful morning, perhaps a nice cup of warm, slightly stale herbal tea with not a care in the world. But oh, how naive that would be. The walls around you are steadfast and wooden, adorned with carvings that tell tales of faith, but are about to witness something decidedly more chaotic. In the stillness, you can hear the gentle tick-tock of ancient clocks. Or maybe it's just the sound of your anxious heart, wondering what's about to come through those undeniably sturdy, yet suspiciously accessible doors. Suddenly, the serenity is shattered by a thunderous crack. It's a Viking warrior, axe in one hand, a heart full of glee, bursting through the door like a kid on a sugar rush after discovering the candy aisle. The door doesn't stand a chance, it splinters, sending shards flying like popcorn in a microwave. If only it was simply an overly rigorous game of charades. The light from the candles previously flickering calmly like your uncle during Christmas dinner now explodes into a dance of chaos as wax splatters down like fallen confetti, coating everything in unsettlingly aromatic blobs. You could practically hear the monk next to you, clutching his gilded crucifix in a mixture of horror and hope, muttering prayers like a human version of a broken record. Dear Lord, please make it all go away, preferably a few feet to the left. With the Viking war cries, part war chant, part elaborate karaoke session filling the air, the poor monks seem about as prepared as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Some scramble, trying to save their meticulously scribed texts, while others make valiant attempts to hide behind whatever might provide cover, a conveniently placed statue of a saint, perhaps. Spoiler alert, not the ideal shield, but hey, worth a shot in the historical chaos department. As the raiders burst in, you can almost feel the tension crackle in the air. It's the kind of energy you only experience when someone accidentally sends a love you text to the wrong person. The Vikings, adorned in armor that might as well have been cobbled together from mismatched items at a tacky thrift store, look around with gleeful anticipation. For them, this isn't merely a raid, it's a shopping spree with slightly higher stakes. You can't help but think, did they plan some form of Viking etiquette? If you find any scones, please leave one for each of us. And for goodness sake, try not to destroy the overly dramatic paintings on the walls. Of course, this is a dreamer's fantasy. The Viking mantra likely goes something like, take it all, leave nothing but the heavy wooden beams, and perhaps a few hopeful, agitated monks. Every sweeping axe stroke is accompanied by the sound of startled gasps and the faint scent of burnt wax as a few candles meet their demise. It's almost poetic if the poetry were written by an unhinged bard after too many mead-infused ideas. Imagine it, warriors delighting in their glorious chaos, and the poor monks desperately rediscovering their novice combat skills. Who knew the sacred art of manuscript preservation would suddenly double as a last-ditch combat maneuver? Just as you think it couldn't get any more ridiculous. A Viking, now bedecked in random fragments of stolen robes and holding a half-eaten donut because why not, steps forward. Has anyone here seen our joyous Lord Odin? Seems he's gone missing during our raid, and I swore he was headed this way for a confession. So here you are, amidst the astral conflict of the Viking ferocity and the monk's devoted faith, wondering how everything became so absurdly delightful. You just wanted to indulge in a quiet evening. Instead, you're living an anachronistic comedy skit worthy of your favorite sitcom. You can almost feel the absurdities wrap around you like a hesitant embrace from Aunt Edna after too much eggnog. All you can do is chuckle softly as the chaos ensues, sheepishly hoping you don't wake up to a morning where history feels like an odd dream, replete with Viking warriors, shattered candles, and the added bonus of monks frantically clutching at whatever passes for sanity, as you drift toward that velvety embrace of sleep. Take solace in the knowledge that sometimes the greatest tales, much like those monks dodging, gallivanting Vikings, are birthed from the most uproarious chaos, leaving nothing but stories born from a little laughter and a lot of mischief. Chapter 21, The Ransacked Chapel. Hey guys. Tonight, we're journeying to the time when an idle afternoon could easily turn into a full-blown pillow fight if the pillows were made of stone and everything was conducted outside a ransacked chapel. Picture it now, the Hellenistic period, where those with shiny helmets were just as likely to be contemplating deep philosophical thoughts as they were to be chasing their neighbor's chicken. So, grab those fluffier than a cumulonimbus clouds you call pillows, dim the lights to a cozy glow like the gentle afterglow of a victorious game of charades without a single awkward pause, and just breathe. And while we're at it, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you're feeling generous, and drop a comment about your personal, oops, didn't mean to break that, experience. But only if you actually enjoy this, of course. Now, imagine the life of someone living in this era. How does one even get dressed? Did they consult a fashion guide, or was it all about grabbing what was on the floor? Ever think about how much laundry was required back then? Is a good washing as improbable as spotting a pig in a three-piece suit? Or was it simply a case of, wear it until it walks away? Congratulations! You've just woken up in 327 BCE, in a chapel that's more ransacked than a toddler's toy room after an all-day playdate. The air is heavy with the scent of smoke and desperation, and the only thing more missing than the gold chalices is any semblance of decorum. Right. This chapel, once bustling with the echoes of sacred hymns and righteous zeal, now stands in tattered disgrace. The altar has seen better days, akin to a contestant on a reality TV show desperately trying to make a comeback after the final eliminations. Golden chalices, now mere shiny accents of a forgotten past, lie scattered around like the trophy heads of a failed home decor project. Who knew decorating a sacred space could result in more chaos than a dance-off in a bowling alley? As you step forward on the once grand marble floor, now littered with remnants of what was, your foot makes a sound that echoes through the empty space like the world's least coordinated drum solo emanating from what should be a sanctuary of calm. Seriously, it's hard to find solace when the floor sounds like a percussion section at a particularly spirited tea party. You squint through the clouds of smoke curling toward the grey sky, what's left of the flames licking hungrily at the chapel's wooden beams, almost like they're trying to read the historical script of mayhem penned by generations past. It's hard to tell. Are they trying to ruin what's left, or just auditioning for a role in the Great Smoke and Mirrors show? And beneath all that chaos, do you hear it? The soft sounds of crumpled parchment and delicate scraps of holy text fluttering to the ground like lost whispers of prayers that never found their way to pagan deities or bored sword fighters slouching against the wall for an afternoon nap. But let's take a moment. If you could resurrect one of those golden chalices, what would you use it for? Perhaps a fancy chalice for your morning coffee, an overly ornate vessel for your favorite snack, or maybe as an incredibly ostentatious plant pot? Ah yes, radical horticulture. You might declare, trying to convince your houseplants they've been given an upgrade to kingdom-level respect. Amidst the debris, a flicker of movement catches your eye, a band of rogues both more dubious and disorganized than a cat at a dog show, assessing their finds with all the finesse of a raccoon armed with a credit card. Look at them covered in soot and perhaps last night's leftovers. Even the looters struggle to make sense of the chaos they've thrust upon the hallowed grounds. The head of this motley crew, let's call him Brutus of the slightly scruffy beard, seems to be delivering an impassioned speech about the fine art of raiding. It's a scene that plays out like a parody of a motivational seminar gone horribly awry. Do remember, chaps, if you can't take the altar, at least take the candlesticks. Gold matches the tone of your terrible character as much as the sweet aroma of smoke matches my grandmother's burnt apple pie. To glory, my fellows. You start to appreciate that while history tells us tales of valor and glorious exploits of yore, sometimes it all crashes down like a poorly executed Jenga tower, leaving behind a trail of sparkling chaos and questionable choices. Just think of it, these ransacked chapels, cloaked in an air of deceitful grandeur, often served as handy backdrops for less than holy enterprises. Sneaky merchant transactions, unsanctioned food festivals, and of course, impromptu karaoke nights with an unfortunate lack of key, perhaps showcasing the eternal struggle of the human condition, even when juxtaposed against a backdrop of piety. Ultimately, as you drift deeper into slumber, let the tapestry of bedraggled humor and historical absurdity wrap around you like a well-worn blanket, a soft embrace filled with echoes of smoky halls, looted treasures, and the oddly relatable chaos of humanity throughout the ages. No matter how much history tries to wallow in its own seriousness, even in the midst of destruction, there's always a chuckle found somewhere in the rubble, waiting to be discovered. Chapter 22. The Wooden Warship Showdown. Hey guys. Tonight, we're venturing into a scene more chaotic than an office potluck gone wrong, where the menu is more about who has the sharpest sword than the fluffiest souffle. And let me tell you, the swords are definitely sharper. Picture this. Fog lingers above a dramatic, blood-stained beach, with a looming dragon prow ship gleaming ominously in the low light, like a rogue piñata that might be hiding some serious treasure, or just a rude surprise of broken dreams and splintered wood. So, snuggle up in your blankets, dim those lights to a cozy glow dim like your last attempt at a carefully planned dinner party, and get comfy. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're feeling generous, and feel free to share your experiences with awkward situations like that time you accidentally wore your shirt inside out for a whole day. But only if you enjoy this, of course. Now, let's think about this Viking business for a moment. What was it like to randomly encounter a bunch of fierce warriors on a beach? Did these guys even have a fashionably late concept? Was there a checklist for being a Viking? Step 1, be fierce. Step 2, grow a beard. And Step 3, be really bad at keeping track of your spoons. Or was it just chaos from the get-go? Congratulations, dear listener. You've just woken up in what might be described as the dawn of a new, pagan age, circa 800 CE, where even the seagulls are carrying swords. Imagine the sensation of sand beneath your toes, gritty and more irritating than the public transport system during rush hour. You take a deep breath, only to be greeted by the smoky aroma of charred wood mingling with the salty sea breeze, creating a scent that could easily be marketed as Viking mystique. A familiar feeling of dread washes over you, akin to realizing you've just sat in someone else's leftover soup on a subway seat. As you shake off the last remnants of sleep, a startling figure appears, a burly Viking warrior who makes you question if he's about to offer you a mug of mead or toss you into the ocean for the local barracuda to consider its next meal. He pulls you close, not exactly in a romantic way, mind you, but more akin to how you might handle a particularly stubborn sack of potatoes. His armor is fabulous in a way that can only be described as gloriously impractical, clinking and clanking with every exaggerated movement like a one-man band experiencing a particularly rowdy concert. Just when you thought a casual stroll on a beach would lead to sunbathing and snacks, you find yourself feebly trying to explain the concept of not being a snack. You can almost hear his gruff voice penetrating the salty air, booming louder than thunder. What are you doing here? This is my beach. Do you not see my warship, the sweaty dragon? But before you can even muster what's a good Viking without a good snack? A sudden tumulto erupts around you. The dragon ship, crafted from oak, the original eco-friendly option, glows ominously in the dim light, like a hulking beast waiting for its moment to roar. The hull is decorated with fierce carvings of dragons so elaborate that they make modern tattoo artists weep with envy. Few recognize that these creatures might just be hungry after a long voyage. As you look out toward the horizon, the waves crash and the air fills with joyous shouts and war cries, blending into an epic symphony of chaos. There's an unmistakable energy, maybe it's the caffeine of the sea or that overzealous feeling you get from the sheer number of people trying to figure out why their boat is mysteriously tipping sideways. Ever tried to balance a canoe with a full picnic basket? Spoiler alert. It ends in soggy sandwiches and disgruntled friends. Amid the echoes of battle, the elderly monk, let's call him Brother Albert, happens to be lurking in the background, attempting a futile attempt at meditation. Picture him, all nerves and wrinkled, clutching onto his rosary beads like they're a life raft in a sea of unfathomable chaos. First of all, what possessed him to think a beach, battlefront, was a suitable location for meditation? This is the ancient equivalent of choosing a mosh pit for an afternoon nap. But alas, our dear Brother Albert is in deep trouble. A fierce Viking, probably nicknamed Axel the Unkempt, swoops in like a rabid seagull that's just discovered the world's biggest bag of chips. He seizes Brother Albert with an enthusiasm reserved for a kid at a birthday party with a piñata. Fear not, old man. Your wisdom will surely lead us to glory, or at least the best picnic spot on the beach. You can't help but facepalm from anachronistic disbelief. Seriously, how did this historical figure manage to find himself in yet another absurd predicament? Maybe he should have tried selecting a quieter vocation, like a librarian or cheesemaker. But there he is, off to who knows where. leaving absurd hypothetical stacks of scrolls behind. The kind of historical documentation schools typically avoid for fear of fostering extreme silliness. As you take in this delightful chaos, remember that even amidst Viking raids and wooden warships, the essence of misunderstanding is timeless. Somewhere in that mess is a hidebound monk offering sage advice, while an entire crew tries to figure out if morning snack includes bread or just fist fighting. The absurdity of humanity knits itself into history like a grand tapestry that never quite gets it right, leaving behind tales of splendor and stupidity, and providing us with humor even when things go horribly, hilariously wrong. So, dear listener, as you let your mind drift through this curious tapestry of history, consider the ways in which we are all just trying to avoid being swept away by some overly eager warrior with a penchant for beachside adventures, and perhaps, just maybe, seeking the wisdom of the ancient ways is not such a crazy undertaking after all. Chapter 23. Dancing with the Goddess. Hey guys! Tonight, we're diving into something as delightful as finding a dollar bill in the pocket of an old jacket, only instead of a crisp bill, we've got a festival in the rugged Balkan mountains around 327 BCE, with all the warmth and joy of a bonfire party hosted by your favorite eccentric aunt. Picture this: Illyrian women dancing barefoot through fire and water, twirling like windmills in a strong breeze, draped in garlands of flowers and red ochre, their laughter echoing like a chorus of cheerful geese practicing for a talent show. Truly, the stuff of legends, or at least a very bizarre Instagram post. Now, dim those lights, put on a fan, perhaps not a historical necessity, but just imagine it blowing your hair back like a fleeting breeze in a cheesy action movie. Get comfy, dear listeners, and get ready to engage in some good old schadenfreude of ancient proportions. You may find yourself wondering, were they worried about splinters while dancing on the grass? Did someone's great-great-great-grandmother ever confuse a fertility ritual with a potluck-style bake-off? And what was the Illyrian version of critiquing someone's salsa moves while trying not to set your hair ablaze? Congratulations! You've just woken up in 327 BCE, right in the middle of a spring festival where everyone's trying to grab the attention of Pren, the fertility goddess who was basically the ancient world's version of a fertility expert, with a Pinterest account overflowing with DIY projects. She's all about abundance and growth, much like your local farmer's market, except the produce might come with spells and incantations. And let's be honest, wouldn't you trade a few old zucchinis for some divine blessings? The sun casts a warm glow through the trees, and you can hear the faint beauty of music, a mix between a lyre and something that phonically resembles an excited goat. As the women begin to dance, their feet bare and toes gripping the earthy stage as if they were channeling the spirit of Mother Nature herself, you can't help but wonder, did they even think about foot fungus? Or was that just a myth born from the fear of something worse, like accidentally stepping in a cow pie? As they dance barefoot through water, and we're talking about a spectacle that makes modern flash mobs look like polite, choreographed recitals, there's a palpable energy in the air, thicker than the fog of indecision you get when choosing a Netflix show. Waves from the nearby river splash up, sending droplets glistening in the sunlight, making it feel like you've stepped into an ancient music video, all with a very serious message about respecting nature. The colorful garlands sway like nature's confetti, but please, let's not forget the red ochre covering their skin. Much like modern-day bronzers gone wrong, it adds an artistic flair that could only be matched by an out-of-control art student from your local university. Suddenly, a gregarious priest, let's call him Brother Pompous, appears, adorned with a robe that's less a fashion statement and more an ancient hazard, though he'd like to think of it as couture. He raises his arms dramatically, like a marionette with questionable strings, calling the women to gather around him. "Oh, sacred gatherers of praying," he bellows, perhaps more theatrically than necessary. "Will you summon her with your dancing, with your joyous cries? Or are we just dancing for the fun of it?" You can't help but chuckle at the thought of an ancient fertility god who might be watching all this, possibly munching on popcorn like a Halloween spectator. Seriously, look at those moves. Blink and you might miss the medieval version of a dance-off, complete with questionable rhythm and clumsy pirouettes that may have set the stage for future coordination failures. As the dance intensifies, the energy flows like a river surging through a valley, The air is rich with the scent of wildflowers and the sweetness of honey, because what's a festival without baked goods, right? Imagining a pleasure goddess hopping along, you wonder if Pren has any modern-day complaints about the bouncers outside exclusive clubs, or whether she ever received unsolicited advice about her graphic design skills from local artists. You watch as the Illyrian women swirl around, grinning wide enough to light up a night sky, faces painted joyously with red ochre that perhaps was a hair dye option gone rogue. Who needs hair colors when you can have this? Perhaps it was a wild experiment in gender fluidity that simply worked way too well. At this point, you may want to ask yourself, how many times did they twist their ankle in an effort to impress the goddess? Or did they have to navigate the social minefield of not stepping on their neighbor's toes while reciting incantations for a fruitful harvest? Ah, yes, the complexities of festivals, past and present. As daylight wanes, and stars poke their noses through the veil of night, everything calms, almost like nature's own way of saying, well, that was quite the spectacle. Amidst the warm laughter and the lingering smell of roasted meats, you realize this was more than just a dance. It was a chance to be young and alive, unfettered by the worries of taxes or modern-day Tinder disasters. It's a time where you could stumble into the arms of a deity, and your biggest concern was whether you'd end the evening with an overly enthusiastic embrace from Brother Pompous, or perhaps a snake-like serpent of glowing fireflies fluttering around you. So, as you drift through this vivid tapestry of Illyrian joy, remember that every foot stomp and joyful cheer is woven into the fabric of what makes life furiously, delightfully, and absurdly human, or perhaps a lovely, chaotic collage of our ancient selves. Let this image seep into your dreams, and may the spirit of Prene bless you, preferably with the ability to dance without tripping over your own feet. Chapter 24, Tattoos and Tangles. Hey guys. Tonight, we're diving into something wilder than your family's annual reunion potluck, where the casserole you didn't ask for is mysteriously always made of jello. Picture this, a vibrant scene in 327 BCE, among the rugged Illyrian mountains, where women are adorned not only in blooming garlands and laughter, but also in intricate spiral and geometric tattoos, symbolic of maturity and blessings, all made from soot. Now, imagine these tattoos as intricate doodles on a very emotional teenager's notebook that someone has carefully inked into actual skin. Because hey, once you enter the world of ancient artistry, sometimes you just gotta roll with the creative punches. As we meander through this whimsical canvas of life, take a moment to pause and ponder what kind of elbow grease went into achieving those perfect spirals. Did they have a designated tattoo day where friends gathered to critique each other's artistry like modern-day hipsters judging latte art? And what do you suppose happened if someone's design turned out looking more like a confused chicken than a fearsome serpent? Hairpin drama, perhaps royal errors deserving of a laugh or two. So, before we plunge into this ink-slicked adventure, dim those lights, blast some air conditioning, though I'll admit, in ancient times, emergency climate control was more about finding a nice shady tree and get comfy. Picture yourself nestled in a warm wool blanket, feeling as snug as a bug in a rug. And do remember, if you like what you're hearing tonight, and only if you're genuinely enamored by my ability to turn ancient history into a cozy bedtime story, like, subscribe, and drop a comment. But only if your eyes aren't already drooping into dreamland. Now, have you ever thought about how many different ways a tattoo could go wrong? Or perhaps wondered if ancient tattooists had their own versions of Yelp reviews, with some scribblings, declaring, definitely wouldn't recommend this one, unless you like mismatched spirals. Or worse, what if they accidentally invented an American-style modern tramp stamp, but in the form of an enormous raven instead? Congratulations! You've just woken up in 327 BCE, surrounded by the fragrant chaos of the nearby river and the earthy smells of the forest. Just to your left, you see an Illyrian woman showcasing her tattoos, spiral designs swirling around her arms like a tree's branches reaching for the sun, communicating wisdom and blessings in a visual language of soot and imagination. It's less what the Romans did, and more what would your grandma think. The air hums with excitement, buzzing like a swarm of bees that just discovered a free all-you-can-eat picnic. The surrounding greenery thrums with life, and you can hear the delicate melodies of a lyre string being plucked, accompanied by the sounds of laughter that might just make an overly cheerful duck quit its day job. You might wonder, did they ever think to steal some of that lively energy for their Monday mornings? Or was caffeine just a rural dream, much like owning a decent pair of shoes? As you stroll about, you can't help but be slightly envious of how their tattoos have become a proclamation of maturity-specific geometric designs signifying life events, like your favorite high school friend's hideous attempt at a derivative art tattoo. Because, let's be real here, once the ink settles, there's no effective way to debate the meaning of those spirals. You either wear them like royalty or risk being mistaken for someone who had a slight misunderstanding with their oven mitts. But let's take a closer look at those intricate designs. Each swirl and spiral tells a tale woven through generations. Some might even be the equivalent of, "I survived last winter's terrible stew," whispered in inked raconteur fashion. You might find yourself chuckling at the thought that even back then, every tattoo was a potential source of both pride and perplexity at family gatherings. "Oh, Grandma, what's this one?" "Ah yes, double-dip potatoes from last season's harvest. Such good memories." But hang on. Imagine the young Illyrian maidens giggling as they gather around a flame, tattooist in tow, ink made from soot and charm as thick as gossip at any modern-day salon. "Did you hear about Eunoia? She thought that design was a duck, but it's really just a rather confused fish." And there you have it, a one-stop shop for all the ink and fabric mishaps of antiquity, leading to stories shared at taverns and family feasts for generations to come. And speaking of family gatherings, these women warm up next to the fire, preparing for the celebrations ahead. The light flickers across their tattooed arms, and suddenly you recognize that the spirals are a bit like a cozy favorite sweater, symbolic to wear, playful to show off, and undoubtedly prone to mismatches depending on who's got the touch. It's a reminder that every piece of art has its own story, from the simple elegance of a spiral to the mystique of a dragon intertwined with floral designs that would make any modern tattoo artist quiver with a spasm of delight. So, breathe in that essence of creativity and camaraderie. Underneath their laughter, perhaps slightly softer than a peacock's feather, you know there's a spark of ancient magic in the air. Their dance, their art, their tattoos, all echoing the pulse of a time where self-expression came draped in dirt but still shined brighter than the sun. And as the night marches onward, remember this. History has a glorious way of helping us connect across centuries, even through the whimsical journeys marked in soot. In the end, whether you're sporting ink from a skilled artist or just the occasional accidental stain from your morning coffee, we are all in pursuit of our own spirals and designs, finding beauty and stories in life's delightful chaos. So, allow that knowledge to cascade over you like a fine silk robe, leading you gently to sleep, with thoughts filled with laughter and swirling tales of inked women past. Chapter 25. A Sacred Union of Quirks and Quarks. Hey guys, tonight, we're immersing ourselves in something more whimsical than your Uncle Fred's dance moves at family weddings, the sacred unions of the Illyrians in 327 BCE. Picture this. A couple, brimming with enthusiasm and an array of floral garlands, striding into nature's grand hall, all under a big blue sky that could host a reality show about clouds. Do you recognize that feeling of hopeful awkwardness as you inevitably trip over your own feet when trying to impress someone? Well, these ancient lovebirds face similar odds, just with more metaphorical stakes. But wait, what's that strange ritual brewing? Are they preparing to make a cake or sign a contract for an unholy alliance of sock puppet drama? Spoiler alert, it's neither. Instead, it's a beautifully layered reenactment of cosmic balance, where the vibrant sky and fertile earth are the unwilling co-stars. I mean, can you imagine what the first proposal looked like? Will you take me, oh sky blue lover, to dominate these mere mortals beneath our celestial gaze? It's like a cosmic soap opera, isn't it? So, before we plunge into this ancient Sunday topped with cosmic sprinkles, dim those lights, conjure a cozy breeze as if a chubby dragon blew it your way, and get settled. Picture yourself under the twinkling stars, feeling as snug as a well-fed caterpillar in a silken cocoon. And do remember, if my attempt to blend history with laughter has tickled your fancy, like, subscribe, and drop a comment. But only if you're not already drifting into the land of Nod. Now let's ponder this for a moment. What was the fashion statement in ancient Illyria? Did they have a wedding consultant? Or was it just the village elder saying, "Hey, just wear something that smells a bit less like goats"? And, if one of the betrothed mispronounced sacred union as sacred onion, did it ruin the whole vibe? Imagine the guests stifling giggles while trying to bribe the hot-eyed sky god for good weather. Congratulations! You've just woken up in 327 BCE, right in the heart of Illyria. The air is fragrant with flowers of every hue, as lively as a circus tent full of caffeinated squirrels. You spot the couple, gloriously unkempt, as if they've decided to raid the local flower shop. The man is adorned with garlands that would make a floral arrangement weep with envy, while the woman boasts swirling tattoos that symbolize not just her beauty but also the mighty forces of nature itself. As they stand hand in hand, facing the massive expanse of sky, you can actually feel the gravitational pull of their eagerness. It's not just a moment for lovey-dovey speeches, their ritual reenacts the cosmic bond. The man representing the sky, tall and proud, and the woman symbolizing the fertile soil, grounded and nurturing. It's as if Zeus has parodied an episode of The Bachelor, where instead of roses, he throws clouds and handfuls of dirt. Let's talk about their clothing. This couple appears to have mixed high fashion with the practicalities of farm life. The male combines everyday motley attire with floral crown pizzazz, giving off that "I'm too cool for your judgment" vibe, while simultaneously looking like he could be mistaken for a spirited scarecrow. And the female? She's dressed in flowing fabrics that look remarkably similar to a bed sheet, triumphantly hinting at her own fashionable flair, while leaving the practical question hovering: will that fabric actually repel dirt? Now, imagine the soundscape of their surroundings. Chirping birds flitting about like quirky little critics, and the rustle of leaves that almost seems to quip, "Well, can't you two speed things up? You're holding up the whole show." Every sound around them mirrors the couple's increasing excitement and nervous energy, turning what should be a serene moment into a delightful cacophony of nature's snickering. Have you ever pondered the guest list for this wild event? You might be surprised to learn that their closest pals are a rowdy mix of village folks, grumbling old men, and curious children, all forcing their way to the front to get a better view, because, let's be honest, they're definitely here for the snacks. The villagers are gathered, some supporting their sacred union, while others look as if they stumbled in from an entirely different reality, wondering what kind of bouquet could serve the dual purpose of love declaration and fly swatter. As the vows are exchanged, you can imagine those preferably ancient naysayers chuckling amongst themselves. "Did you hear what he just said? I'm pretty sure he just committed to fertilizing her fields for life." I mean, can you blame them? They have all the energy of a family Christmas dinner after too many cups of eggnog. And there you have it, the cosmic balance reenacted, not without a few giggles and nudges. The ceremony wraps up smoothly, echoing with blessings that could probably rival any modern-day wedding toast, filled with hopeful promises, questionable punchlines, and perhaps even an enthusiastic cheer from a group of errant goats that has decided to join the festivities. So take a deep breath and bask in this journey through time, where romance hinged not just on hearts aflutter, but on unfurling florals and a healthy dose of good fortune. As you nestle deeper into the comforting embrace of laughter and history, allow this quirky celebration of love to wash over you like a sunset, mirroring the cosmic dance of sky and soil. Makes you feel all warm, doesn't it? And as your eyelids grow heavier, remember that beneath all the absurdity and laughter, there's an ancient truth echoing through the ages. Love, in all its eclectic forms, has always been worth celebrating, even amid the mismatched garlands and unintentional goat participation. Let yourself melt into that notion, floating gently into dreamland, where every laugh is like a guiding star illuminating the night. And now, as the echoes of hammer strikes fade, as queens and warriors retreat into the quiet folds of memory, we drift gently back from the world of timber, crowns, and thunder. Tonight, we stood beside shipwrights whose hands bled into oak. We watched empires rise from whispered ambition, and we heard the distant roar of gods that once ruled the northern wind. They all lived, toiled, loved, and stumbled through their days, just as we do, only their struggles came with more splinters, more smoke, and definitely fewer snacks. You can almost imagine them at day's end, a sailor staring into a flickering lantern's light, a queen pressing her hand against a cold marble wall, a Viking laughing through cracked lips at the absurdity of life. Somehow, amid the storms, they still found moments to joke, to dream, to build something that would outlast them. There's something deeply human about that, the will to keep going, to carve purpose from chaos, to find warmth in a world that offered so little of it. And as you lie there now, surrounded by the soft hum of the modern world, take a moment to be grateful for your comforts, your warm bed, your quiet room, your steady breathing. No sails to raise, no battles to fight, just rest. Let the sea still inside you. Let the hammer fall silent. Let every wave of thought roll softly back into calm. You're safe. You've done enough. And the world, with all its noise and glory, can wait until morning. Close your eyes, breathe deep, and drift peacefully into dreams.